Chapter 1066. During the time that Lin Chen was in the Purple Cloud King Valley, news of him began to spread throughout the 36 regions. Waves after waves of shock were stirred up among the various forces, and they continued to spread without stopping. Xuanyu, Green Cloud City. All the attendants in the city began to sell jade slips made of vine scrolls. This was something that belonged to the Cloud Vine sect of the Saints' world. The sect nurtured a large number of cloud vines, and they were skilled in collecting information from various sources. They were one of the greatest information dealers in the Saints' world, and the Cloud Vines sect would be the first to grasp important information and spread it. Breaking news. The Black Horse Club's Lin Chen killed 14 true saints and entered the Purple Cloud King Valley alone to avoid the pursuit of the Fourth Heaven true saints. There are rumors that someone in the Black Horse Club is the illegitimate son of the Purple Cloud King Valley's Valley Master. According to a certain true saint expert's guess, the Black Horse Club's disciple is most likely from a rank 6 aristocratic family. It's no small matter that he went out to train. News about Lin Chen spread like wildfire, and even with the help of the Cloud Vine sect's information network, it would take some time for it to spread. The sacred boundary was vast, and even with the Cloud Vine sect's information network, it would take some time for it to spread. Mystic Realm, Ice Heart Palace. When the members of Class 66 received news about Lin Chen, they finally heaved a sigh of relief. I knew that Big Brother would be fine. Even the 9 prefectures' false gods couldn't stop him. Bai Juanhao grinned. Fortunately, the little fellow is fine. Palace Master, we've troubled you for the past few days. The White Dragon Gate's leader cupped his fists towards the Ice Heart Palace Master. The Ice Heart Palace Master smiled and said, "It's fine. We're all on the same side. Now that Lin Chen has destroyed more than half of the secret pavilion, it's a good thing for all of us. We'll have to keep in touch in the future." To think that this little fellow is actually related to the southern region's Violet Cloud King Valley. TSK. Seems like there's no need for us to worry about this matter. Those people from the Violet Cloud King Valley usually don't make a move, but once they do, they are extremely protective of their own. That Lin Chen brat should be safe now. The 2 old men beside Yan Qianyun looked at each other and smiled. Leng Yueqi, Shangguan Bihan, and the other girls sitting opposite them felt their hearts settle down. I can't believe that our class monitor has already slaughtered a saint, and we're still stuck in the Combat Emperor realm. This won't do. If we don't work harder, he'll leave us in the dust again. Ying Liang clicked his tongue in wonder. Yes, class leader's growth rate is simply monstrous. Our cultivation in the sacred boundary has already been completely surpassed by him. Yu Linlin stuck out her tongue, and her beautiful eyes were filled with helplessness. Compared to Lin Chen's cultivation speed, I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up to him in this lifetime. Han Ziyun covered her mouth and chuckled. Everyone looked at each other and laughed at the same time. In the end, the various sect leaders and sages led everyone away and said their goodbyes. At night, Leng Yueqi was alone in the Ice Heart Palace and was summoned by the Palace Master. The Palace Master solemnly said, "Girl, it's time to activate your 9 absolute cold veins and cultivate the second half of the cultivation method." Leng Yueqi nodded. "Yueqi is ready. Palace Master, please do your best." The 1,000 Gold Association's headquarters was already in a mess. The president has actually fallen? Even the 2 saints have disappeared without a trace. Looks like this news is true. The president really died at the hands of the Black Horse Club's Lin Chen. The upper echelons of the Chamber of Commerce were in a bit of a mess. Some of them with evil intentions had already begun to take away the inventory and goods of the Chamber of Commerce. Without the 3 sages, the blow to the Chamber of Commerce was devastating. Qin Family Great Hall. Qin Shaotian was drenched in cold sweat, as if he was sitting on pins and needles. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants. Qin Zhentian had acted because of him. Now that Qin Zhentian had fallen, The Qin family had directly lost a sword saint. The death of a saint was a great loss to any force below the 5th grade. All the upper echelons of the Qin family gathered in the Great Hall. The atmosphere was unprecedentedly strange. Forget it. This kid has the relationship with Purple Cloud King Valley. Even a 5th grade sect returned empty-handed. I'm afraid it will be a long time before we can take revenge. The Qin family patriarch spoke after a long time, as if he had aged many years. Hidden Pavilion's headquarters. The dark and simple Great Hall was even more desolate than usual. The tea was cold and the pavilion was empty. 2 pairs of eyes opened in the dark night. One of them was filled with rage and killing intent that soared to the 9 heavens. The Black Horse Club destroyed my hidden pavilion. If I don't take revenge, I'll be ashamed of my pavilion master. Even the patriarch and pavilion master have fallen at his hand. We are no longer this kid's match. We can only ask that Lord to take action. As soon as he finished speaking, there was silence. Are we really going to ask that, Lord? The voice that was filled with rage was now trembling with fear. Another person said, We have no choice. This kid has the secret of an ancient saint. Perhaps this is the only way to move that, Lord. Those forces that had sided with the hidden pavilion were all wailing. Their sects had lost a saint. In the battle on Kirin Cloud Island, the 5 saints that had died were from their 3rd grade sects. There were only 3 to 4 saints in a 3rd grade sect. 1 death was 1 less. It was a heavy blow to the entire sect. In the endless darkness of the void, a human figure wrapped in a cold demonic light surged out from the darkness like a tornado. He held the golden roll in his hand. His dark eyes were filled with demonic light as he stared at the name Lin Chun on the golden roll. Bang! He crushed the golden roll. It was as if he had crushed that dazzling name. So, your name is Lin Chun. How dare you steal the demonic aura of my sky-devouring mirror? Ha ha! His laughter was like the cry of an owl echoing in the void. An island floated in the sky. It was as vast as a continent. There were mountains and seas on the island, and palaces were everywhere. There was a golden ancient pagoda in the middle. It was like an immortal sacred site. The sun, moon, and stars were all contained in it. Inside the ancient pagoda, a figure appeared on the supreme throne. When the figure appeared, a gust of cold wind blew and turned into thousands of demonic birds. The ancient pagoda that looked like a sacred site instantly turned into a chilling hell. The person on the throne opened his eyes. It was as if a part of hell was howling. His voice was very hoarse, like fingernails scratching the wall. This old fart. He's actually not dead yet. Does he still have a successor? No matter what successor you find, this Lord will kill them all. This Lord is about to break through your secret. Cultivating a high-grade odd crystal is just around the corner. Shwa. An afterimage appeared and knelt on one knee, wearing a ghost mask. Master. The figure on the throne spoke indifferently. The sacred burial mountain range is about to open. Go and see if you can fish in troubled waters and get that old fart's burial good. Also, the figure on the throne flicked his hand and shot a talisman at the demon-masked man. He said indifferently, My main body is still in seclusion in cloud beyond heaven. Take this to the head pavilion and ask someone to take action. Bring me the head of Lin Chun of the Black Horse Society. The ghost-masked man took the talisman, and there were a few ancient words engraved on it. In Sky Talisman Decree. This subordinate accepts the order. The ghost-masked man flashed and disappeared. The figure on the throne narrowed his eyes, and a gust of cold wind blew in the ancient pagoda. The moment that person's murderous aura burst out, his entire body was shining with a dense starry light. It was a pity that no one saw this scene. If one observed carefully, the starlight on this person's body was actually the light of odd crystals. A speck of starlight was a complete odd crystal. This person's entire body was filled with twinkling stars. It was extremely terrifying. Chapter 1067. The rules of the Purple Cloud King Valley were extremely strict, and Lin Chen, an outsider, could come and go as he pleased in the Purple Cloud King Valley. He could only be so willful because he had the little demon Empress, Purple Cloud King Medallion. Thousands of miles away from Purple Realm Valley, Lin Chen sat on the dragon's back, resting with his eyes closed. The Dragon Emperor spread its wings and flew across the sky like a bolt of lightning. Consumed 24992 strengthening points. Strengthening Sacred Flame Phoenix Bloodline successful. This time, Lin Chen spent another 3 million strengthening points, raising his Green Dragon and Winged Dragon bloodlines to plus 15. Sacred Flame Phoenix Bloodline to plus 14. Phoenix Wings speed increased by more than 2 times. The Dragon Emperor's speed and bloodline ability also increased. The system screen kept popping up, and Lin Chen's doppelganger continued to refine a huge amount of Silver Saint Origin coins. The high-level Battle Chi Essence attribute kept increasing. My pure strength and the Dragon Emperor's pure strength have both reached a bottleneck. Unless there is a great opportunity, with Long Qinggua's accumulation, it will take at least a few hundred years to reach the Saint Realm. If the Dragon Emperor becomes a Saint Beast, it will need even more energy. Lin Chen exhaled. The simplest and most effective way for a vicious beast to level up was to swallow a vicious beast's core. If he could find a level 8 vicious beast's core, the Dragon Emperor would have a chance to level up. Now I can use the 9 Tribulations star twice a day. It is said that there will be monster-level geniuses in the top 10,000 of the genius ranking participating this time. It is said that there are even monsters that can fight against Saint. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. Without the God Slayer, I don't have the power to fight against a Saint Realm expert. Even a Saint with 1 Saint point open can crush me. This time I can only rely on my killing moves and high-energy delaying runes. If I meet a genius that can fight against a Saint Realm expert, it will be a tough battle. I can only wait and see if Little Shadow can help me fly. 4 days later, at the border of the southern region, a continental plate appeared in front of them. A majestic mountain range, whose end couldn't be seen, gradually came into view. It was like a dragon crouching on the ground, tall and imposing. The void was filled with purplish-black mist floating, and even space was corroded into a distorted state. This is the Sacred Burial Mountain Range. The miasma in the void can only be resisted by cultivators of the Saint Plane. Do cultivators below the Saint Plane have to wait for the miasma to dissipate? Lin Chen put away the Dragon Emperor and leaped into the air. His body turned into a shadow and his aura disappeared. 8 hours later, Lin Chen arrived at one side of the mountain range. The miasma overflowed into the sky like a poisonous fog that didn't disperse all day. It made one's hair stand on end. It looks like the miasma hasn't completely dissipated yet. Lin Chen furrowed his brows. Suddenly, the clanging cries of dragons reverberated all around. The dazzling sword Qi condensed into a sword-like dragon. A young man stood proudly on top of the sword-like dragon. His eyes were like 10,000 swords. He wore a green robe and had his arms crossed in front of his chest. Lin Chen instantly felt a sharp pressure spread out. Every wisp of air seemed to have become the sword energy of the green-robed man. It's a genius ranked in the top 10,000 of the genius list. He's very strong. He's on a completely different level from the Nangong Mia. While Lin Chen was surprised, the 9-tailed celestial fox with its 9 snow-white foxtails stepped on the clouds and appeared out of thin air. On top of the celestial fox were 2 beautiful women. Their auras were strong, no less than that of the green-robed man on the sword-like dragon. The green-robed man's eyes flashed like lightning. Celestial Fox Double Charm. You think you can get a share of the Sacred Burial Mountain Range with your little charm technique? The beautiful woman covered her mouth and giggled. The Sword Monarch's words seemed to be biased against us sisters. Do you want to try? Her smile was charming like 100 flowers blooming, but there was a cold, murderous intent hidden in her charm. Humph! The green-robed man coldly snorted. The charm dissipated. His eyes were still sharp, but there was a hint of vigilance in them. When the laughter came out, even Lin Chen, who was dozens of miles away, felt dizzy. It was as if there was a woman's voice echoing in his ears, forcing him to break the illusion with his mental power. Lin Chen was speechless. Every word and action makes people fall into an illusion. Killing people in battle is due to carelessness. Retreating, Lin Chen dived into the desolate forest below. As if it was just the beginning, in half an hour, the wind and clouds changed, and strange phenomena appeared. Powerful war emperors' auras crossed the void. Another batch of geniuses on the genius list had arrived. There are more than 100 geniuses gathered here alone. They're all ruthless people. There are also some hidden old monsters and war emperors. Their auras are past their prime. I'm afraid they're fighting for the last opportunity in their lives. If they can break through to the Saint Realm in the sacred Burial Mountain range, they can change their fate. Lin Chen held his breath and his consciousness dived into the peach blossom plant pouch. Inside the peach blossom plant pouch, the long qingshu and clear jade tree had formed thousands of brilliant veins that were like fire and crystals. This was the precursor to the birth of an odd crystal. Lin Chen's eyes flashed with a trace of passion. It won't be long before the first low-grade fire-type odd crystal is born. The other embryonic water and earth-type odd crystals were also gradually taking shape. Lin Chen's fourth plant of luck finally entered the growth stage with the nourishment of the gold Saint Origin coins and the purchased Tiani holy water. This plant of luck was very mysterious. It wasn't as large as the previous 3 plants of luck, nor did it produce a large amount of silver Saint Origin coins. It was only a few dozen meters tall. Its blooming branches and leaves were suffused with a faint silver glow, like a silver jade tree under the starry sky. It produced fruits the size of lychees, and the surface was covered with silver gauze. The light flowed and the fragrance was restrained. It was extremely mysterious. The more Lin Chen observed, the more surprised he became. Finally, he recognized the body of this plant of luck and exclaimed, "Could this be the legendary Wandering Divine Tree?" Low-grade plant of luck, Wandering Divine Tree, was born in the core area of the spiritual storm. If the area had a certain amount of vitality, there would be a small chance of giving birth to the seed of the Wandering Divine Tree. This plant of luck wouldn't produce silver Saint Origin coins, it would only produce one type of fruit, Wandering Divine Fruit. Lin Chen plucked 3 astral travel fruits and swallowed them. As they entered his stomach, a large amount of mental power poured into his spiritual sea. Obtained 7 points of spiritual force, 9 points of spiritual force, 6 points of spiritual force. When the system screen popped up, Lin Chen's spirit was lifted and he was full of energy. Lin Chen couldn't help but be ecstatic. It's indeed a divine item known as an alchemist, Wandering Divine Fruit. Ah! I've hit the jackpot. This thing is said to be even rarer than the Dragon Clear Tree, the True Spirit Tree, and the other 9 treasures plants of Providence. Every spiritual plant of luck had its own special holy item. The Clear Jade Tree was the Clear Jade Dew, which could purify spiritual impurities and negative energy in the sea of consciousness. The Red Gold Tree was the Red Gold Vine, which could strengthen the defense of the body. It had the defense of pure gold, and was tough on the outside but tough on the inside. The Long Qingshu was the Long Qinghua, which could increase vitality. Its energy was vast and gentle. It was both a sacred item for body refinement and a sacred item for healing. And this Wandering Divine Tree was the Wandering Divine Fruit, which could increase spiritual force, increase spiritual perception, increase spiritual sensitivity, and make up for spiritual exhaustion. It could even heal many spiritual injuries. Rumor has it that the Wandering Divine Tree is almost extinct in the sacred boundary. The value of a Wandering Divine Fruit is comparable to a finished sacred pill. It's impossible for the rank 4 and rank 5 sects in the outside world to have a wandering divine tree. Its value is comparable to a mid-grade spiritual plant of luck. Lin Chen's heart trembled. With such a treasure, it was only a matter of time before he reached the transcendent realm. Even the supreme realm of alchemy that Lin Chen pursued would no longer be empty words. If the spirit plants of fortune that Lin Chen had revealed during the Four Powers Conference were not the Long Qing tree and the clear jade tree, but the wandering divine tree, the Four Powers Conference would have triggered a great battle between the sages, and there would have been no chance of survival. Chapter 1068. Rumor had it that a fourth-rank sect in the Flame Domain had obtained the Wandering God Tree. In just half a month, that sect had been completely wiped off the map of the Flame Domain. The Wandering God Fruit was a supreme treasure that all alchemists pursued. The effect of increasing one's spiritual power and spiritual sensitivity would affect the accuracy of the alchemist's hand seals. It would directly improve the alchemist's skills. I'll have to guard this information to death in the future. The Wandering God Fruit can only be enjoyed by myself. The Long Qingguo is only a body-refining saint-grade treasure. To some old monsters in the saint realm, the Long Qingguo is mostly used for healing. They won't personally come out to deal with me. If news of the Wandering God Tree is exposed, I won't be able to survive even if I have 9 lives. Lin Chen laughed inwardly as he ate all the Wandering God fruits. A man's wealth is his own ruin. Not to mention Lin Chen's current strength, even if he entered the saint realm, he wouldn't be able to protect the Wandering God Tree. At the very least, he would have to be at the 4th heaven true saint realm. Lin Chen used the innate dark shadow art to conceal his presence. While he was cultivating, he hid in the desolate forest like a stone, not moving at all. Another 3 days passed. Occasionally there would be a terrifying explosion in the void. Geniuses had gathered. Just the south side of the mountain where Lin Chen was located had more than 1,000 geniuses. They were all geniuses ranked in the top 10,000 of the genius ranking. Almost all of them came from 5th-rank sects in the 36 regions. There were even some whose names on the genius ranking were unable to be revealed. Their origins were extremely terrifying. Lin Chen floated in the air. At this time, the miasma in the mountain range had mostly dissipated. However, the miasma in the air still hadn't dissipated. Only the surface of the mountain range had dissipated. I'll be able to enter soon. Lin Chen prepared himself. He was ready to unleash the ultimate moment and the 8 transformations at any time. This time, it was different from the Rainbow Island. He had to enter the sacred Burial Mountain range as soon as possible. He couldn't let go of any trace of the Sky Master Battle Sage's whereabouts. If other geniuses found it first, the Tai Heaven concealing technique would have nothing to do with him. All of a sudden, a strange phenomenon that no one had expected occurred. Rumble! An abyss-like fissure tore open in the sky, and a world-shaking aura swept through the outer region of the Holy Burial Mountain range. The expressions of all the geniuses changed slightly, and they quickly retreated a distance. Lin Chen's eyes turned solemn. This is the aura of a saint level 4. And more than one? A 4th heaven true saint is here. A slender black-robed figure drenched in blood suddenly rushed out of the huge abyss in the sky. Then, it rushed into the sacred Burial Mountain range like a beam of light. The billowing demonic chi was like a mad dragon emerging from the world, destroying everything in its path. No one dared to block it. The black-robed figure wore a cloak, making it impossible to see his true appearance. But as he rushed into the Holy Burial Mountain range, he unexpectedly turned his head and looked in a certain direction. That direction was none other than Lin Chen. Lin Chen seemed to sense something. The demonic seal in his palm began to circulate with a faint purple light. It's the mysterious demon-human powerhouse I met in the 9 regions. Lin Chen's heart was in turmoil. She was actually injured? And he even broke into the sacred Burial Mountain range? Boom, boom, boom. The moment the black-robed woman rushed into the holy burial mountain range, 999 rays of holy light rose into the sky. It was as though an immortal saint had descended upon the world. Damn it! That devil girl has rushed in. She's been hit by my 9 holy chi. She won't be able to hold on for long. She's on her last breath. Don't worry. That's the holy burial mountain range. There are restrictions that specifically target true saints. The higher the cultivation of a true saint, the easier it is to be targeted by the restrictions. Our lives will be in danger if we enter. The group of true saints transmitted their voices to each other. They didn't rush in. After so many years of holy war, many true saints understood what kind of terrifying existence was buried in the holy burial mountain range. The higher the cultivation of a true saint, the more dangerous it was to enter the holy burial mountain range. Unless their cultivation surpassed the existence that was buried in the mountain range. That devil girl is extremely likely to be related to the incident in the past. It's better to kill 100 innocent people than to let go of any possibility. We must kill her at all costs. A few of the Saint Realm experts seem to have decided to cut off all means of retreat and charge into the sacred burial mountain range. Lin Chen's eyes trembled slightly. He was almost certain that the true saints in the sky were stronger than the 3/4 heaven true saints who had chased after him in the past. At the very least, they were on the same level as the 2 Purple Cloud King Valley elders. Extremely strong. Are you all muddle-headed? If we go in now, we'll fall into the devil girl's trap. Why don't we do this? She's already heavily injured, and she's been surrounded by us for a long time. Moreover, she's been hit by my 9 holy chi. In another 2 days, the 9 holy chi will corrode her entire body. At that time, she won't even have a tenth of her strength left. Even a true saint with a single saint point would be able to kill her. Why don't we let these little fellows take action? That's right. These youngsters are all little monsters ranked in the top 10,000 of the genius ranking. Their talents are peerless, and some of them can even fight a true saint for a few rounds. If they take action, they'll definitely be able to kill that devil girl. With the geniuses surrounding her from the inside, and us blocking her from the outside, let's do it this way. The capital needed to move these little fellows can't be too little. Let's use all of our resources to move them. After making up their minds, a black-robed young man appeared in the sky. His face was like jade, but his eyes were filled with the vicissitudes of life as he spoke indifferently. Geniuses of the 36 regions, this old man and the others are from the southern regions, 6th-ranked families and sections. The 8 Remoteness Dragon Hall, Sky Extinction Sword Gate, and Falling Lightning Pavilion. The geniuses looked at them, and their voices spread out in all directions of the holy burial mountain range. Lin Chen's heart sank. They actually came from 3 rank 6 sects, which were the most powerful of them all. This time, a stinky demonic tribe has infiltrated our sacred boundaries southern region. This old man doesn't need to say more about the demonic tribe's influence on our sacred boundary. When the demonic tribe was mentioned, some of the geniuses' faces were filled with strong killing intent and hatred. Today, we will issue a warrant for the capture of that demonic tribe. Whoever brings her head to us will be rewarded with an incomplete orange tier combat skill, 2 first-grade sacred artifacts, 3 divine pills, 4 top-grade purple tier alchemy handprints, and 10 million silver saint origin coins. When such rewards were announced, the geniuses had different expressions. A warrant issued by a 6th-ranked sect in the southern region? Interesting. An orange tier combat skill. This young master is interested in this reward. Even if I can't cultivate it, I can exchange it for a top-grade treasure. Looks like we have another target in the Holy Burial Mountain range this time. Some of the geniuses were eager to try, some were determined to get it, and some didn't care at all. Only Lin Chen's mouth twitched slightly. F***ck, what the hell are these old saints doing? They even took out an orange tier combat skill. No matter what the conflict between the female demonic tribe and these people was, Lin Chun had to ensure her safety now. Lin Chun had to get other ways to enter the sacred prison from the female demonic tribe. Otherwise, the demonic eye of the 9 regions would break out of the seal one day and cause chaos in the 9 regions. Chapter 1069. But once this wanted notice was issued, Lin Chun would have to stand on the opposite side of all the geniuses who wanted to hunt her if he wanted to help her. I have to find her first. Maybe I'll find her first to prevent her from being besieged by the geniuses. Lin Chun took a deep breath. Once he was besieged by the geniuses, even if he had a sure kill skill, he wouldn't dare to say that he could escape unscathed. Buzz buzz buzz. There was a spatial fluctuation in the sacred burial mountain range, and the miasma dissipated. Rumble. There was a genius whose movement technique was extremely fast. He took the lead and rushed in, not fearing the dangers inside at all. Whoosh. Lin Chun also rushed in. Suddenly, a black-clothed youth in front of him turned his head strangely and stared in his direction. Lin Chun could only see that in his eyes there was a sharp glint that was like an owl's, and in his deep eyes there was an infinite darkness. He actually saw me? Who is this person? I'm in the innate shadow spell, and my aura is hidden to the extreme. Even the saints can't sense me. How did he see me? Lin Chun was shocked. But fortunately, this youth didn't seem to have any intention to fight Lin Chun. He was just a little confused, and he was the only one who could see Lin Chun. Lin Chun felt a troublesome and dangerous aura from him. If they were to fight, he might have to use his sure-kill skill. Lin Chun was the first to enter the sacred burial mountain range. The inside of the mountain range was dark red, like a graveyard. Whoosh, whoosh. Lin Chun unleashed his ultimate moment and 8 transformations. His aura surged, and he turned into a white light dragon shadow and rushed straight into the mountain range. After a while, there were sounds of fighting coming from all around, accompanied by the roars of the ferocious beast. Someone had already encountered a battle. It's very disadvantageous to fight in the air here. The miasma at the top has not disappeared. If you want to fight in the air, only the saints can guarantee your safety. Lin Chun narrowed his eyes and then looked down at the demonic seal in his palm. At this time, the demonic seal's light was dim, but Lin Chun had a very mysterious feeling. The closer he was to a certain direction, the stronger the demonic seal's reaction. It was as if it was calling out to him. The one who pulled the devil seal is that woman from the Devil Cultivator clan. Lin Chun's heart stirred. Suddenly, he saw an ancient altar. A glazed skeleton had passed away on the altar, and the surroundings were enveloped in a pale green holy light. The area within 1,000 feet was as pure as snow, and the holy aura was supreme. Dozens of attribute light orbs floated around the skeleton. The remains of a saint, even the bones contained an extraordinary fluctuation of holy power. Even the marrow contained a strong energy. A saint actually fell here. From the looks of it, he must have been seriously injured and ran all the way here. While Lin Chun was still in shock, a saber light suddenly slashed over like a wild dragon. Lin Chun's figure flashed, avoiding the blade light. The saber light shredded everything within a radius of several hundred feet, destroying mountains and splitting the earth. The 3 streaks of battle radiance were like flying pear blossoms and leaves as they fluttered and flickered in the air. Along the way, they cut through a towering tree as if they were cutting tofu. Lin Chun dodged again, dodging again. While dodging the attack, Lin Chun collected all the attribute light orbs. Obtained 5992 battle chi essence, 23 spiritual force, 55 wood energy, 22 wood energy. The quality of the attribute value was extremely high. Lin Chun rushed to the saint's skeleton and placed his hand on it. A 4th Tribulation War Emperor trash dares to sneak in here? The blood-red clothed youth walked out of the blood mist with a saber at his waist. Opposite the youth, there were 3 black-clothed old men who were like ghosts. They were a genius on the genius ranking and 3 Fifth Tribulation War Emperors. Lin Chen did not underestimate these 4 people. The latter 3 were even more terrifying. They were the oldest war emperors in the sacred boundary. This was because they might have stayed in the Fifth Tribulation War Emperor realm for 100,000 years, or even longer. They were not comparable to ordinary Fifth Tribulation War Emperors. No one could guess what kind of trump card these old war emperors were hiding. They had entered the sacred burial mountain range to seek a heaven-defying opportunity to change their fate. They could do anything. Lin Chen was surrounded. However, he laughed and said with a harmless face, "You guys are making me scared. Forget it, I won't fight with you guys." After saying this, Lin Chen threw the saint's skeleton in the direction of the 3 old men. The saint's skeleton was as heavy as a mountain. Only with Lin Chen's strength could he throw it. The skeleton rolled up a gust of wind. "Throw the skeleton away and run." Lin Chen did it in one go. The 4 old men did not expect him to be so decisive. They instantly started fighting for the saint's skeleton. Rumble! The blood-red clothed youth wielded the saber in his hand. When he waved the saber energy burst out like flowers falling from the sky and slashed toward the 3 old men. The battle between the 2 sides instantly destroyed the vitality within a radius of more than 10 miles. The range of the battle was increasing. Something's wrong. The remaining bone marrow energy in the saint's skeleton has also been completely lost. The black-clothed old man, who had just fought for dozens of rounds, noticed something strange. The 4 old men were not simple people. They instantly regained their senses. Damn it, it's that Fourth Tribulation War Emperor kid's doing. Lin Chen had already run away. Successfully decomposed the bone marrow energy of the saint's skeleton. Consumed 99 mid-level heavens path point. Received 20,000 blood essence, 100,000 high-level battle chi essence, 100 talent points, 265 wood element energy. Beautiful. It seems that I can decompose the saint's skeleton to obtain a tribute point. As long as I have more of the saint's skeleton, it won't be a problem for me to break through to the Fifth Tribulation War Emperor. Lin Chen was wild with joy. However, he did not forget his first task. The Heaven Prime Battle Sage's skeleton was between the Sacred Burial Mountain Range's core area and the inner area. That place was filled with danger. Even if a monster-level genius entered, he would not be able to reach it so quickly. First, he had to find the mysterious woman of the demon tribe. Once her life was endangered by other geniuses, the possibility of him entering the sacred prison would be next to zero. If he relied on normal means to enter, it would be impossible to escape. The decomposing of the saint's skeleton can be done by my doppelgangers. There's no need to fight. As long as they touch the skeleton, they will be able to decompose it. Moreover, my doppelgangers do not have to fear death at all. In one breath, Lin Chen released all of his doppelgangers from the peach blossom plant pouch. Even Little Shadow was released. Lin Chen used Ultimate Convergence and Ultimate Moment. His clones went all out, and they all used their movement techniques to rush in different directions. "Little fellow, it's up to you now." Lin Chen patted Little Shadow's head. However, Little Shadow suddenly shook its head. "The space here is too turbid. There are also strong space barriers. Traveling through the void is very dangerous. The deeper space cannot be traveled." Little Shadow's childish voice reverberated in Lin Chen's mind through telepathy. Lin Chen's mouth twitched. "What? You can't travel through the void here?" Little Shadow's body turned into a pitch-black dragon shadow. Purple lightning curled around its eyes and revealed a serious look. It nodded slightly. No wonder it became a place that even the saints are afraid of. It is indeed dangerous. After losing Little Shadow's innate talent, it was a bit like an eagle that had lost its wings. Little Shadow hid in Lin Chen's arms. Even if it couldn't travel through the void, Its innate talent would always allow Lin Chen to sense danger ahead of time. Within a range of 100 miles, it would be the first to sense danger or the appearance of a treasure, and promptly inform Lin Chen. Lin Chen went all the way into the inner circle of the sacred Burial Mountain range. After 2 days, he arrived at a steep and dangerous giant mountain peak. Billowing black demonic energy billowed around it. Even the vicious beasts that lived here didn't dare to approach. Lin Chen exhaled. Through the dim light, he looked at the mountain peak. The demonic seal in his palm shined like a purple jade. That mysterious woman was inside this demonic mountain. Chapter 1070. Lin Chen had the demonic seal in his hand, so he was not affected by the demonic chi of the mountain. If he wanted to force his way in, he would need to be at least in the top 10,000 of the genius list. The demonic chi here was so dense that it was almost solid. It was extremely dangerous. However, Lin Chen felt that compared to the demonic chi of the 10 demonic statues in the underground cave of Rainbow Island, it was not worth mentioning. Little Shadow also had the bloodline of the demonic race, so he was not afraid of the demonic chi's corrosion. One person and one shadow went deep into the mountain. Inside the mountain there were many strange buildings. Some were shaped like pavilions, but they were full of holes. Some were shaped like skeletons, but their doors were wide open. Lin Chen found a white jade building that looked like a skull. His breathing was slightly trembling as he stepped into the building. Inside the white jade skeleton, it was desolate. Many buildings were covered in dust, and poisonous insects were crawling everywhere. The only area that they did not dare to approach was 100 feet. In that area, there was a slender and beautiful figure lying there. Lin Chen walked over and picked up the black-robed woman. He frowned slightly. She was unconscious. She had fainted. For a powerhouse of this level, being unconscious like this meant that she was in imminent danger. Lin Chen helped her up and released his spiritual power to check her physical condition. He also injected a wisp of gentle water vapor into her body, but he found that it was useless. His battle chi was not qualified to heal her at all. What a domineering physique! How strong is her cultivation! Although she is seriously injured and has been hit by an extremely strange Yin-type holy chi, her body is still resisting the corrosion of this Yin-type holy chi. Lin Chen frowned. He was about to put her into the peach garden plant pouch to treat her properly. The peach garden plant pouch at his waist erupted with a suction force, trying to suck the woman into its internal space. However, the peach garden plant pouch trembled violently, and the internal space kept shaking. Lin Chen was so scared that he stopped immediately. He was dumbfounded. It's because the demonic chi is too strong. It's the same situation as the sky-devouring mirror. Even if she is seriously injured, the demonic chi in her body is still as strong as the sea. If I forcibly put her into the peach garden plant pouch, the internal space will not be able to withstand it and directly explode. A thorny feeling arose in his heart. If he couldn't store it in his peach blossom plant pouch, then his operation this time would be greatly inconvenient. He couldn't possibly bring an injured person to compete with monster-level geniuses, could he? Her breathing was weak. It didn't sound like it. I can only give it a try. With my level of refining medicine, I should be able to have some effect on her. I'll get 2 of my clones to come back and assist in refining medicine. 2 of them will be in charge of searching for the saint's remains to disintegrate, while one of them will be in charge of advancing. Once they discover something, they'll immediately teleport to the location of the clones that are advancing. With a thought, Lin Chen recalled his 2 clones. After leaning the mysterious woman against the wall, Lin Chen took out a total of 100 pill furnaces. She is being eroded by the Yin-type holy chi, and her own demonic chi is also resisting it. The divine pill refined this time must be mild, and it must not react with the demonic chi. It must also restrain the Yin-type holy chi. Only by getting rid of the unholy qi can she be healed. Lin Chun selected from more than 20 8th-grade pill recipes. His harvest on Rainbow Island had enriched his pill recipe inventory by a lot. Some of his 8th-grade herbs were extremely rare and had not been decomposed yet. They were now put to use. 1st-grade Divine Pill, Jiuyang Life Restoring Pill. It harmonizes Yang energy and heals injuries with Saint energy. It warms the limbs and bones, softens the meridians and organs. Without saying a word, Lin Chen began to refine. He and his clones performed the true dragon sacred hands. His blue spiritual power controlled the faint dragon qi, which flowed through the marks on his hands. Whoosh! Floating clouds of herbs poured into the pill furnaces. Thousands of 7th-grade herbs began to dissolve and refine. The refining of the 8th-grade herbs was even more precise and smooth. Streams of spiritual power like dragon qi were injected into a piece of earth marrow stalactite, and the snow-white essence was extracted like a needle tip. Lin Chun and his 2 clones were soon sweating profusely. Controlling 100 pill furnaces to refine medicine accurately consumed a lot of energy. In the Holy Burying Mountain range, where danger lurked on every side, Lin Chun wouldn't be so reckless. Even if he could refine medicine at a high speed, his spiritual power would be exhausted by the time he finished refining, and his combat power would be greatly reduced. However, he was a man who had the Wanderer fruit. Lin Chun only dared to refine medicine with all his might in such a damned place. He was not afraid of his spiritual exhaustion afterwards. A man's endurance, the Wanderer fruit, was worth it. Time passed. Lin Chun and his 2 clones refined medicine with all their might for 2 days and 2 nights. As for Lin Chen's clones, Zhen Dexiu and Zhen Dechang, who were outside, had perished. There was no other reason. His clones found the remains of 2 saints. The moment they decomposed their attributes, they were besieged and killed. Halfway through, Lin Chun swallowed 2 Wanderer fruits and continuously used the ultimate Guiyuan talent. He was full of energy and could last for a long time. He maintained full power throughout the refining process. The efficiency was terrifyingly high. On the 3rd day, an orange-yellow brilliance shot into the sky. There were signs of a 1st-grade sacred pill being born. The demon mountain was shrouded in demonic aura. The sacred pills phenomenon did not attract the attention of the nearby expert. It's finally done. Lin Chen walked to the black-robed woman's side and helped her up. He removed the veil of her cloak, pried open her cherry-red lips, and stuffed the hot pill into her mouth. As the pill entered her body, yang energy circulated. It did not repel the demonic aura produced. Instead, it began to harmonize with the Yin-type sacred aura and eliminate it. The woman murmured in her sleep. Lin Chun controlled the spear to the limit. Yang energy merged with Yin. The hot impulse made her delicate body tremble involuntarily. The cloak fell off. Lin Chun was stunned for a moment. The beauty in front of him was peerless. Her fine black hair was like a waterfall. Her eyebrows were beautiful, and her collar was like a tassel. Her snow-white beautiful lines seemed to form the most beautiful face in the world. The tip of her eyebrows was decorated with cinnabar. She was extremely charming. Her jade cheeks were dyed red, and her eyebrows faintly revealed sadness. She had the face of a fairy, but the temperament of a witch was extremely charming. Every word and action seemed to be able to arouse the most direct desire of a man. Lin Chen almost had a nosebleed. She did not need any decorations. Even if she was in the darkness would become her embellishment, adding a mysterious beauty to her. It was as if everything in the world could only serve as a foil to her. Her appearance and temperament were comparable to that of all the women Lin Chen had seen in his life. Only Leng Yueqi, by Ruoyan, the 2 beauties who were as beautiful as fairies, and the little demon empress who was extremely unique and seductive. Lin Chen had always thought that there was a fierce woman hidden under the cloak. After all, the first time he talked to this woman, she was as cold as ice. The woman was restless because of the harmony between the essence of the 9 yang life returning pill and the Yin-type sacred aura. Her eyes were not open, but she was moving chaotically and wanted to run out. Lin Chen pulled her back. An extremely primitive impulse rose to his lower abdomen. Lin Chen directly bit his lips, causing blood to flow. Chapter 1071. I, Lin Chen, have traversed tens of thousands of flowers. I would never do something like taking advantage of others, but this is too difficult. Quickly think of something to distract yourself. Lin Chen held her down to stop her from moving. His mind was occupied with other things. One had to know that even a top-notch charm technique wouldn't be able to put Lin Chen in such a sorry state, unless one's spirit power completely crushed Lin Chen's level. This woman had almost turned Lin Chen into a wild beast just by relying on her own charm. It could be seen how rare her beauty and temperament were. Just like that, Lin Chen hugged the woman for 4 hours, restricting her movements. He did not do anything else as he recited the collection of standalone king stories in his heart. Only then did the woman's restlessness gradually calm down. She was sweating, but her face gradually became rosy and better. She was still in a coma. Her eyebrows were knitted tightly, as if she was in a nightmare and could not wake up. Her injuries are getting better. The Jiuyang life-restoring elixir is slowly adjusting the horrible Yin holy qi. Next, she will be able to dissolve it gradually. The thorny problem was only half solved. Only when the Yin holy qi was completely dissolved could Lin Chen give her the long qingguo and the glazed bodhi seed. Otherwise, any holy healing item would be shattered by the 2 opposing forces in her body, and the healing effect would be minimal. 3 days have passed. There is no time to wait for her to dissolve the holy qi by herself. My doppelganger has entered the inner circle of the mountain range and sensed no less than the battles around. Unable to put the mysterious woman into the Taoyuan plant bag, Lin Chen could only carry her on his back. She was soft and fragrant. Lin Chen's mind swayed. He recalled the woman's stunning face and could not help but smile bitterly. Damn it, if not for the mental cultivation method, I don't think I can hold it in. It's so frustrating to be a man like this. Biting the tip of his tongue, Lin Chen turned into a shadow, and his doppelganger followed closely behind. Outside the demon mountain, 2 figures in white stopped. It was a man and a woman carrying a sword. They were like peerless swordsmen standing above the clouds. Their swords were not unsheathed, and their sharpness was restrained. The woman in white asked, "Senior brother, could you have sensed wrongly?" The man's gaze was as sharp as a sword. "I can't be wrong. I've been refining pills for many years, so I'm extremely sensitive to the phenomenon of pills being born. There must be a divine pill being born here." The white-clothed woman frowned. "But who would refine pills in such a damned place? I'm afraid it would be difficult to maintain one's rationality in there." Whoosh! As the 2 of them were conversing, 3 figures rushed out from Devil Mountain. The 2 of them were shocked. Among the 3 of them, there was a young man carrying an exquisite and slender black-robed figure on his back. His aura was weak and feeble, causing the 2 of them to be shocked. "It's that devil cultivator. There's something strange about this kid. Cut off his escape route." Clang! The 2 of them drew their swords, the odd crystal's light surged, the clanging of a dragon's roar was like a cold blade, 2 white rays of light suddenly slashed towards Lin Chen, flashing again and again at an extremely fast speed. The figure drew the bow, and the arrow light was like a feather rainbow drifting down, praising the god with a wisp of lightning. Sword fury soared to the heavens, rolling like a cloud of fire, the orange sword light slashed horizontally. Bang! Bang! The sword light exploded, and Lin Chen quickly retreated, causing the 2 of them to be stunned. 2 fourth Calamity Combat Emperors? Strange. Very strange. They actually used 2 orange rank combat skills at once. A 4th Calamity Combat Emperor can actually take our sword techniques head-on. Don't let that kid go, Chase. There must be a big secret. Take down that devil cultivator woman too. The two of them turned into a sword light and sped away. Lin Chen and his avatar retreated all the way. My innate shadow art can't hide her. These two geniuses are extremely strong, and their individual combat power is even stronger than Ling Jian's. They are in the top 10,000 of the genius list. Lin Chen kept his avatar and moved his mind. Super-dimensional teleportation. The activated super-dimensional teleportation, carrying living targets. 1. Teleported to space coordinates 3. Cooldown time, 30 seconds. Consume 113 talent points. Whoosh. Lin Chen turned into a ray of light in front of the two of them, and the two geniuses were horrified. Space travel? Lin Chen arrived at the side of a quiet lake. The spatial coordinates he teleported to were exactly where the avatar of the Jundok Shui was at. This place was very far from the Devil Mountain where Lin Chen had first entered. It was at least 3,000 miles deep. Due to the large number of ferocious beasts and miasma blocking the way, it would take at least a few days to reach this place. This was the result of Lin Chen's avatar using his purple-golden eyes to travel at full speed. He had ignored all the battles and treasures along the way. Lin Chen raised his head and looked at the sky. The miasma in the sky had shrouded from a height of 20,000 feet to a height of 10,000 feet. This is the inner circle of the mountain. The deeper you go, the lower the height of the miasma. You can't fight at a high altitude here. Once you are pushed into the miasma during the battle, you will definitely die if you are not at the Saint Realm. Lin Chen's eyes were solemn. He couldn't use his body movement skills as he wished in this place. If he got too close to the miasma in the sky and was pushed into it, he would most likely die. Bang! The battle exploded and smoke rose everywhere. Dozens of auras rose from the valley dozens of miles ahead. Lin Chen activated his purple-golden eyes and used his spiritual energy to sense it. He was surprised and said, "There are 4 saint remains over there?" At this moment, a dragon-shaped battle chi that looked like a yellow sand dragon swept across dozens of miles and attacked Lin Chen. Clang! Jundok Shui clenched Atlas at lightning speed and slashed the yellow sand dragon in half with a flash of sword light. "Hey, handsome guys over there, can you give that devil cultivator guy to me? I don't like fighting. Give him to me, and you can leave obediently." A frivolous and lazy voice reverberated in the air. Lin Chen lifted his head. 1,000 feet long yellow sand dragon was wreaking havoc with the sandstorm. On top of the yellow sand dragon's head, a purple-clothed young master sat cross-legged, looking at Lin Chen mockingly. His evil eyes emitted a charming light. When his gaze fell on the female demon on Lin Chen's back, he suddenly exclaimed in surprise, "This demon guy is actually a female. Wow, she's a peerless beauty. Ha ha, I want her." The young master laughed and grabbed at the air with his 5 fingers. His 5 fingers broke out with a tremendous force. His battle chi turned into millions of tons of yellow sand and enveloped Lin Chen. It swept across the 4 seas and could sink mountains and rivers with one palm. This move was simply beyond the scope of the War Emperor. It could almost kill an ordinary 5th Tribulation War Emperor at will. Damn it! So strong? Lin Chen was shocked. With a flash, the speed of Dragon Flash soared to the extreme. 4 consecutive absolute shadows. Sword Fury Atlas. Imperial Sky. Annihilation. The doppelganger's ultimate skill was used one after another. With the addition of Instant Light Doppelganger, the attack was like a deluge of flowers. The saber and spear shadows bombarded the millions of tons of yellow sand storm like a violent storm, forcibly breaking open a path. Bang! Bang! Even so, 2 of the doppelganger were destroyed in exchange for Lin Chen's chance to break out. All the attacks were divided into 5? The purple-clothed young master was puzzled. You actually took my attack with your 4th Tribulation War Emperor cultivation base? Freak, what a freak. Don't go. I only want the beauty. If you put the beauty down, I'll let you go. Lin Chen couldn't help but curse, what the F***. Chapter 1072. How dare you scold me? The purple-clothed young master flew into a rage out of humiliation. He stepped on the yellow dragon and went straight ahead. Wherever he went, the wind swept away everything in his path. Lin Chen flapped his sacred phoenix wings rapidly. He clearly saw that when the young master made his move, there was an odd crystal shining brightly in his body. Lin Chen was shocked. That's a complete low-grade odd crystal? This person can actually refine a complete low-grade odd crystal as a 5th Tribulation Combat Emperor. He's a true monstrous genius. He might even be able to fight against a sage. He's on a completely different level from the geniuses I met before. He destroyed 2 of Lin Chen's clones in one move. This person's strength was much stronger than the Nangong Mia and Ling Jian. Lin Chen transformed into a flash of lightning and fire. With his +15 Dragon Flash movement technique and +15 Sacred Phoenix bloodline, he was so fast that even the purple-clothed young master couldn't catch up to him. Lin Chen carried the mysterious woman and rushed to the center of the valley. The purple-clothed young master, who was stepping on the yellow sand dragon, smiled playfully. You want to bring me to the center of the chaotic battle and then take the opportunity to slip away? It's not that simple. Kid, I'm not that easy to fool. Swoosh. Swoosh. Lin Chen led his clone into the valley. At this moment, 32 old antiques with 5 tribulations cultivation were fighting over the remains of 3 saints. Even if they managed to snatch a sage's bone, the energy in the bone marrow would benefit them greatly. Seeing Lin Chen and his group charging into the valley, they attracted the attention of all the experts. When they saw the woman on his back, they couldn't help but be taken aback. The purple-clothed young master followed closely behind and grabbed with his 5 fingers again. Sand swirled in the air and battle chi swept across the land. Lin Chen leaned to the side and narrowly avoided it. Seeing that the others were about to attack, the purple-clothed young master suddenly shouted coldly, "Get out of my way! This is my goal!" Once this name came out, countless old antiques' faces changed slightly. Zhao Tiankuan? That demon conqueror Zhao Tiankuan? Damn it! Rumor has it that this kid has already entered the top 5,000 of the genius ranking. If he's not here to snatch the saint's remains, then don't provoke him. The group of old antiques immediately dodged, but Lin Chen seized this opportunity to charge in. He charged into the battle circle of the 2 saints' corpses, and his clone threw out 2 slowing runes. Consumed 220 advanced rune energy. Mirror Moon Imperial God. Zhen Dang's clone drew his saber from the other side, and the azure moon in his hand flashed with a moonlight that illuminated the world, knocking back several old antiques before they could react. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lin Chen dodged, carrying the beauty on his back as he snatched the 3 saint corpses. Many old antiques turned pale with fright. However, no one noticed that the energy within the saint's remains began to dissipate the moment Lin Chen's palm came into contact with it. Consumed 388 intermediate heavens path points to decompose the remains of 3 saints. Obtained 13,944 advanced battle essence, 22 fire energy, 52 lightning energy, 29 talent points, 55 darkness energy. Ha ha ha, big brother, we've succeeded. As his attributes soared, Lin Chen laughed and threw the 3 saints' remains in Zhao Tiankuan's direction. Big brother? Could it be that these kids are colluding? Are they deliberately acting like they're hunting him down? The group of old antiques was instantly enraged, and their battle auras surged, shooting out colorful battle auras that turned into a violent storm that bombarded Zhao Tiankuan. This kid is tricking me? F***ck. Zhao Tiankuan pushed his hands out, and more than a dozen yellow sand dragons danced in the air, colliding with each other and shattering all the attacks. He kicked away the three saints' remains and cursed angrily, "Get lost! I'm going to hunt that kid down." At that moment, an old antique suddenly exclaimed, "Something's not right. The energy of the three saints' remains has disappeared? Zhao Tianquan, is this your doing? Hand over the saints' bone marrow. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless even if you're from a rank 6 sect." A group of murderous old antiques surrounded Zhao Tianquan. He glanced at them from the corner of his eye and realized that the energy of the saints' remains had dried up. He immediately knew that he had been tricked. What a sinister kid! Zhao Tianquan gritted his teeth. Obtained 14,152 battle aura essences, 29,912 battle aura essences, 18,592 battle aura essences. Lin Chen's battle aura cultivation soared all the way. He had broken down 4 saints' remains along the way, and the energy in each of them was abnormally huge. Each saint's remains provided Lin Chen with no less than 500,000 high-level battle aura essences. Even if a saint had fallen, he was still a saint. The energy contained in each bone was no small matter. Lin Chen's body rumbled, and there were signs of a breakthrough. Lin Chen's 9 tribulations fate wheels battle aura fluctuations suddenly soared by more than 3 times. A 9-colored brilliance surged out from Lin Chen's body, and his aura soared. He actually broke through? These saints' remains are really treasures among treasures. Lin Chen licked his lips excitedly. Boom! A 9-colored cloud locked onto Lin Chen like a tribulation from the underworld. The 9-colored tribulation cloud surged from the miasma, but because the miasma was turbid, the power of the heavenly tribulation condensed from the spiritual energy here was about 30% weaker than before. However, Lin Chen's heavenly tribulation was strange. Even though it was 30% weaker, he still felt a fatal threat. The last time I transcended the tribulation, I had little shadow to help me travel through the void. I won't be so lucky this time. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. With a whoosh, a 9-colored flame shot toward him like a fire dragon. Whoosh! Lin Chen dodged it with his movement technique. Unexpectedly, the 9-colored fire dragon was mixed with a hidden force, and a second flame shot toward Lin Chen. Annihilation energy surged between Lin Chen's eyebrows, and he dispersed the 9-colored flame with annihilation. Boom! More than a dozen tornadoes like dark tides enveloped Lin Chen. This time, the attack was even fiercer. It was mixed with 3 tribulations: water tribulations, dark tribulations, and wind tribulations. Even Lin Chen's face was solemn. His clones moved together and fought with the heavenly tribulation energy. Whoosh! A black claw cut through the air and crushed a group of dark tornadoes near Lin Chen. Lin Chen was shocked. Little Shadow appeared out of nowhere and turned into a 100-feet-long shadow. Its horns were like a deer's, its head was like a camel's, its eyes were like a rabbit's, its ears were like a cow's, its neck was like a snake's, its belly was like a crocodile's, its scales were like a carp's, its claws were like clouds, its tail was like a carp's, and its head was filled with purple lightning. It was a real ancient dragon. This dragon had the nobility of the dragon race, the murderous aura of the demon race, and the spirituality of Little Shadow. It was like an ancient giant that was showing signs of life. Damn! Little guy, you're so good at fighting? Lin Chen was surprised. Little Shadow was a creature that couldn't be locked on by the chi of heaven and earth. Besides Lin Chen's clones, it was the only creature that could help Lin Chen pass the tribulation without suffering any backlash. Little Shadow winked at him proudly. With Little Shadow's help, Lin Chen's tribulation was like a hot knife through butter. The 9-colored heavenly tribulation came fiercely. If it was in the outside world, Lin Chen would have to use all his strength. However, in the sacred Burial Mountain range, more than 30% of its power had been corroded by the miasma. Lin Chen could fight the heavenly tribulation head-on without holding back. Within 1,000 miles, Many people were alarmed by the aura of the heavenly tribulation. Some of the geniuses immediately noticed the location of the heavenly tribulation. Strange, why is there a heavenly tribulation here? Could it be that a fourth tribulation battle emperor has entered this place? Chapter 1073. Nonsense. This is absurd. A fourth tribulation battle emperor wouldn't even be able to come here to die. How could he enter the inner circle? No. It might be the birth of a rare treasure. When some rare items are born, they will trigger a heavenly tribulation. These rare items are all rare in the world. Let's go and have a look. Within a radius of 1,000 miles, all the old antiques, geniuses, and hermits were attracted by the aura of the heavenly tribulation. The ground was covered with spiderweb-like cracks, and the cracks were shocking. Lin Chen, who was standing beside the cracks, was carrying a beautiful woman on his back. He was panting heavily, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Congratulations to the host for advancing to a fifth tribulation battle emperor. Bang! Before Lin Chen could be happy for 2 seconds, he was sent flying. Damn! Who is behind me? Lin Chen, who was sent flying, cursed loudly and gasped for cold air. It was too painful. Little Dark Shadow immediately locked onto the black-robed woman, who sent Lin Chen flying. Lin Chen shouted, "Wait, little guy." Lin Chen was puzzled. Has she woken up? The black-robed woman stood up unsteadily, as if she was drunk. Her eyes were empty, and she was mumbling in her sleep. I won't die. I will overthrow the human race. Hey, big sister, it's me. Don't you recognize me? The handsome guy who said he would take me away from the Jiuzhou continent. Lin Chen tried to wave at her. Unexpectedly, her eyes suddenly turned and she waved her sleeve. Demonic chi filled the sky, and a large number of blood-red ribbons swept across the sky to attack Lin Chen. Swoosh! Lin Chen leaped into the air and grabbed Little Dark Shadow, narrowly avoiding the black-robed woman's attack. She waved her sleeve and swept away all the obstacles within 100 feet. The violent unholy chi rampaged in her body. In a trance, some disordered memories rushed into her mind. No, I'm not a demon. I'm just doing this because of my ancestors. The woman seemed to have seen some kind of nightmare. She curled up on the ground with an expression of incomparable pain. She held her head with a pained expression. Powerless despair appeared on her beautiful face, like a sad and beautiful winter plum before it withered. What's wrong with her? It looks like he's not even conscious. Lin Chen's expression was grave. Bang! Bang! Suddenly, 2 loud noises could be heard as the mountain peak was crushed. 4 geniuses were actually charging over. Ha ha, it's actually a guy from the Devil Cultivator clan. It didn't take much effort to get him. Once I get rid of her, I'll get the Orange Tier Martial Arts Manual. The 4 geniuses laughed maniacally, and 2 sword lights shot out like white cranes spreading their wings, striking the 4 geniuses back. 2 silhouettes floated in the air, their clothes fluttering in the wind. There were swords hidden in their sleeves and white jade strapped to their waist. It was the man and woman who had encircled Lin Chen earlier, the 2 white-clothed swordsmen. Misty Sword Sect, you want to interfere too? There are 4 of us, don't die here. The red-haired youth among the 4 geniuses sneered. You dare to snatch my prey? Do you want to die? The earth shook and the mountains shook. The roars were like thunder as the 2 behemoths arrived. It was a peak rank 7 primordial black demonic bear. It had the strength to move mountains and rivers, and its aura could swallow the world. On the back of the primordial black demonic bear sat 2 bare-chested muscular men. Their veins were bulging like dragons, and they were ferocious and violent. Shocking killing intent shot out from their eyes like lightning, and their auras swept across the entire area. 2 more super geniuses, and the situation became even more chaotic. Seeing that the situation was getting more and more chaotic, no one dared to make the first move. In the darkness, a window-like crack was torn open, and a black-robed, monkey-faced man appeared. He laughed strangely and said, "He, such a graceful and exquisite body, it's also because of the bloodline of the human race, right? The Devil Cultivator clan is a lowly and disgusting race that's even worse than pigs and dogs. Trash that's so lowly that it's disgusting. Trash." Another indifferent voice reverberated. I don't like you, monkey, but I have a complete consensus with you on the fact that the Devil Cultivator clan is trash. The cyan-robed young master walked in the floating clouds with his sword in hand. Wherever he passed, it was as if the sky would become a long green cloud, a vast expanse. Beside the cyan-robed young master, there was a woman with her eyes closed and a zither in her arms. She had a beauty that could captivate fish and beasts, but the murderous aura between her brows kept people 1,000 miles away. Rip! A bolt of golden lightning stretched across like a giant python, standing proudly in the air. The golden-robed man's eyes were like thunder, and a world of thunder was being born and destroyed. The dregs of the Devil Cultivator clan deserve to die. The golden-robed man suddenly shouted, and it was as if 10,000 thunderbolts had struck at the same time, causing heaven and earth to tremble. Heaven's Gate will take this woman's life. 999 rays of light rolled down like a snow bridge and a stairway to heaven. 8 extraordinarily handsome and elegant young masters slowly walked down from the dawn snow bridge. When each of their gazes swept across the audience, it was as if a sword had been unsheathed, revealing its sharpness. 20 geniuses surrounded the Devil Cultivator clan woman. They were all super geniuses ranked 9,000 to 8,000 on the genius ranking. Each of them was an existence that had shaken the world for thousands of years, a true living legend. The trash of the Devil Cultivator clan deserves to die. Today, I only want this person to die. All of you, get out of my way. The female genius of ethereal sword sect gritted her teeth, and her killing intent soared to the sky. The monkey-faced man laughed strangely and said, "Wait a minute, Shao Qingyu. You're not the only one who wants to kill her." The 20 geniuses directly ignored Lin Chen, who was at the side. They did not put Lin Chen in their eyes at all. Arrogance. Absolute arrogance. This was the arrogance that belonged only to geniuses. They did not care what kind of talent Lin Chen had. As long as he did not enter the top 10,000 of the genius ranking, he had no right to speak in front of them. The black-robed woman was on the verge of collapse. She opened her eyes in a daze. From these people who judged her in a judgmental tone, she saw a scene that was similar to that day. That day, the world was dark, and blood seemed to have dyed every continent red. It dyed the 9 heavens red and covered the universe. The gods and Buddhas of the heavens, the Asuras of the outer realm, the demons under the stars, and the supreme experts of the entire world surrounded her. The curses of these supreme experts vaguely rang in her ears. The Devil Cultivator clan is really the disgrace of our devil race. The human race does not recognize this kind of trash race. The dregs of the human race and the devil race, this period of history should be annihilated, disappear forever. In that battle, the sun and moon lost their color and the world collapsed. She was alone, and the life and death of the Devil Cultivator clan was only on her shoulders. That familiar and hysterical voice echoed in her ears again. Yao the revitalization of the Devil Cultivator clan depends on you. Yao you, who inherited the power of our ancestors, must complete their last wishes. You must make those humans who cruelly trampled on us pay the price. The Devil Cultivator clan will rise, and blood will be avenged. The ones who deserve to die are the devil race, the human race. Yao the human race must die. Luo Yao always felt that this burden was too heavy. How long had it been since the fragmented memories were pieced together? In a small wooden house, a chubby little girl's face was covered in tears. Her jade-like clear eyes flowed with tears as she hugged her mother and cried, "Mother, why do they all bully me? They say that I'm a monster, an ugly monster, the most terrifying demon in the world. Her mother stroked the little girl's cheek and smiled gently. How could that be? My Yao is cute and powerful. She has great power, but she has never abused it, nor has she hurt others. She has always helped others. How could such a kind person be a demon? The girl wiped her tears. Really? Really? Her mother hugged the girl and smiled. Of course it's true. Do you still remember the story of Fairy You that mother told you? The girl seemed to recall something. Fairy You. Chapter 1074. Her mother explained patiently. That's right. Fairy You was kind, powerful, beautiful, and kind. Everyone mocked her for not knowing how to use her power, but she never hurt anyone. Instead, she took pride in helping others with her power. She used her kindness to accept everyone, and in the end, she led her race to ascend to the divine realm. Those who mocked her in the past all worshipped her as a god, and her race became one of the most powerful races in the divine realm. Yao, do you understand? The little girl's eyes flashed with hope as she asked happily, Mother, am I someone like Fairy You? Her mother smiled gently and stroked her hair. Yao, to become Fairy You, you can't just be kind. You have to have a heart that accepts others, and you have to have the willpower to endure hardships. Do you know how many ancient books Fairy You has read, and how much suffering she has endured in order to save the world and reform her people? You also have to learn how to control your own power. That year, her mother told her the story of Fairy You year after year, and little Yao was filled with joy as she accepted others time and time again. When she was 7 years old, a dozen or so little friends were walking on a muddy path, and they were constantly throwing yellow mud at her. Ah! Look at this ugly freak, she's smiling even when I throw mud at her. How disgusting! No, look at her. She's about to cry, but she's still smiling. She's amazing, I want to see how long she can keep that smile on her face. Little Yao forced a smile onto her chubby little face. Mother said that I'm a girl like Fairy You, so I won't hold it against you. Everyone burst into laughter, and one of them threw a large chunk of mud at her face. Fairy You, you're a freak. You even have horns on your head. Little Yao's nose twitched as tears welled up in her eyes. She could no longer maintain the smile on her face as she ran away. In a small wooden cabin, her mother's face was a little pale, but when the door was pushed open, her usual gentle smile appeared on her face. Little Yao hugged her mother tightly as tears flowed from her eyes. Mother, am I really someone like Fairy You? Why does everyone still call me an ugly freak? Why do I have horns on my head? Why am I different from everyone else? Yao, ignore the gossip of others. Fairy You once walked the same path as you. You must persevere and endure. Growing horns is a gift from your father. Others don't know how to appreciate it, but in Mother's heart, Yao is the most unique and beautiful. When she was 10 years old, she said, Mother, you lied to Yao. Yao isn't like you Xianzi at all. They say that Yao is the descendant of a lowly race. She's not even human, but a demon. Little Yao cried bitterly as she left the wooden house. Her mother wanted to chase after her, but her face suddenly turned green. There was a sweet taste in her throat, and she suddenly vomited blood. In the small forest at night, under the moonlight, little Yao held a sharp dagger, trembling as she slashed at the horn on her head. Blood flowed, splattering all over the ground. Little Yao endured the pain as she lay on the ground, tears streaming down her cheeks. She bit her lip, clenched her teeth, and stared at the moon with a smile. I don't have horns anymore. I'm not a demon anymore. When she was 11 years old, her mother was bedridden. Beside the bed, little Yao held her hand tightly as she cried, Mother, Yao knows that she was wrong. Yao shouldn't have cut off her horn. Yao doesn't want to become a demon. Mother, don't leave Yao. Her mother gazed at her silently and kindly as she spoke with difficulty. Yao you have to continue to cultivate and use your strength well. Her mother's face was as pale as paper as she revealed a final smile. One day Yao will meet the strongest man in the world, just like how mother met your father. Her mother slowly closed her eyes. Before she left, a trace of reluctance flashed through her heart. Yao talent would definitely stand at the peak of the world. I hope that she won't be led astray because of her own strength. If there is such a day, I pray that there will be someone who can save Yao like how he saved me, when she was 16 years old. The throne in the void had a new master. Little Yao you are the most suitable candidate to inherit the wishes of the demon humans. The human race is the source of all evil. Inherit the power of our ancestors, and then destroy the human race. Repay all the pain that our demon humans have endured and experienced for generations to the human race. Endless voices echoed in little Yao ears and mind. Her strength grew stronger and stronger. When she witnessed the scene of the demon humans being trampled and slaughtered by the human race, her expression became even colder. In her mind, only the wishes of her ancestors and the hatred of the demon humans were left. She wanted to repay all of this to the human race with her blood. That day, a new leader was born in the demon humans. She led the entire demon humans by herself, causing the sacred boundary to be overturned and countless planes to be destroyed, causing chaos to the entire world. Luo Yao's gaze became more and more blurry as she broke free from her memories and looked at the figures surrounding her. She channeled the last bit of demonic chi she had left and endured the pain, wanting to fight to the death with all the geniuses. Clang! 3 sword lights shot out. It was the 3 geniuses of the Heaven Gate who drew their swords together. The sword chi was like snow, and a sword came from the west, causing heavy snow to swirl in the air. The unholy chi in her body corroded the demonic chi, and she was unable to unleash the last bit of her strength. Luo Yao mocked herself in her heart. Why did I suddenly recall all of this? Mother, Yao still hasn't become fairy you. If I want to inherit the will of the ancestors, how can I rely on benevolence to avenge the demon humans? Perhaps this was wrong from the beginning. In this world, there is no such thing as a strong man. Rip, bang. The sword light exploded into fragments that filled the sky. Luo Yao was stunned on the spot. A tall and upright figure stood in front of Luo Yao. In her daze, she could vaguely see the domineering and awe-inspiring aura between the youth's brows. Brat, are you courting death? Where did this nameless junior come from? Do you know how many sins the demon humans have committed in the sacred boundary? You actually dare to protect her? Accompanying her is equivalent to challenging the dignity of the saint's world. Brat, you dare to challenge the sacred boundary? The 8 geniuses of the Heaven Gate glowed with sword light, and their battle auras surged, turning into a storm of sword chi that enveloped Lin Chen. Lin Chen patted the dust off his shoulders and scanned all the geniuses present. What does it have to do with me? I'm not interested in your grudges. If you touch someone that I, Lin Chen, want to protect, I'll do it regardless of the universe. Luo Yao's delicate body trembled slightly. Boom! The crimson gold battle spear flashed in his hand, and the 8-layer transformation and ultimate moment were fully activated. Lin Chen's body was surrounded by a dark green brilliance, and he looked like an Azura from hell. He held the spear and pointed it at all the geniuses present with a cold smile. Either you scram, or I'll beat you until you scram. Lin Chen, who had stepped into the 5th tribulation, used the 8-layer transformation, and his aura was not inferior to these super geniuses who had stepped into the 5th tribulation for 100 years. Lin Chen's words stirred up 1,000 waves. All the geniuses were enraged, and they attacked furiously. The Heaven Gate's sword chi surged, and layers of snowy sky river sword chi slashed out to meet Lin Chen's attack. Every move was an extreme half-orange grade sword technique. The ethereal sword gate's dual sword combination, and the sword split the sky. The sword came from the west, and the clouds were ethereal, The golden-robed man released the golden lightning dragon, and the dragon's tail swept in all directions. The monkey-faced man grabbed out a dark shadow claw that flashed layer by layer. The ancient heavenly demonic bear entered the bodies of the two ferocious men, and it circulated the power to move mountains and fill seas. The fist wind was like Mount Tai crashing down. I'd like to see how strong the top 10,000 on the genius ranking are, all of them acting so high and mighty. Endless attacks came, and Lin Chen's body shook. He slashed down with his spear, and the golden rainbow light exploded. Chapter 1075. The arrow light shot out swiftly, and the moonlight flashed by. The orange sword light was burning with anger as it slashed down vertically, dividing the void. 4 deadly saber lights were like an all-encompassing saber-chi storm. In an instant they spun and slashed out. Double dragon dance, 1 green and 1 black. Little Shadow and the Dragon Emperor attacked at the same time. Their dragon tails turned into swords and cut through the stars. Lin Chen's clone, the Dragon Emperor, and Little Shadow worked together to unleash a monstrous attack that clashed head-on with the attacks of the various geniuses. Bang! 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 The earth-shattering attack turned into an energy hurricane that swept through everything. The joint attack of 20 super geniuses was broken through head-on, and some geniuses were even blasted back a short distance. Luo Yao stared blankly at the back of the figure that was still standing upright under the dazzling energy storm. She was in a bit of a daze. The next moment, intense pain assaulted her. Inelemental holy qi rampaged inside her body. Luo Yao's vision turned black and she fainted again. In her daze, Luo Yao vaguely felt a warm arm hugging her. No matter how frightening the sound was, she wasn't hurt at all. Is this a dream? If it's a dream, it's best not to wake up again. Bang! 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 When Lin Chen and all his clones broke through the attacks of the super geniuses, Little Shadow opened up a path for Lin Chen. Lin Chen carried Luo Yao and flapped his holy phoenix wings as he rushed out of the encirclement. His eyes were burning with fighting spirit. The super geniuses in the top 10,000 of the genius roll are indeed powerful, but I'm also at the 5th tribulation now. If we're at the same level, I'm not afraid of these guys at all. When Chaotian Gate and the 4 red-haired youths were the first to stabilize themselves, their eyes were still filled with unconcealable shock. The attacks of Chaotian Gate's 2 geniuses were torn apart, and the power penetrated their bodies. They were knocked dizzy and dropped attribute light balls. Damn, that kid is so strong. What's his background? Although these people have just entered the 5th tribulation, every move shows signs of an orange-grade battle technique. Why have I never heard of such a person? No, he just said his name is Lin Chen. Could it be that Lin Chen, who massacred the Black Horse Club on Rainbow Island some time ago? The group of geniuses exchanged blows face to face and immediately saw through Lin Chen's true identity. Lin Chen's dragon flash was extremely fast. Coupled with the sacred phoenix wings, he flashed out of the range of perception of the geniuses. If it wasn't for the fact that Lin Chen had to bring Luo Yao along with the dragon flash movement skill and the innate dark shadow art, Lin Chen could have easily avoided the detection range of these geniuses. Don't let him take that witch away. It'll be hard to kill him next time. The swordsman genius of Heaven Gate shouted. All of the geniuses glanced at each other and came to a tacit understanding. They had decided to use their trump cards. Boom! The 2 swordsmen from Misty Sword Sect were the first to strike. The swords in the hands of a man and a woman flew up. Sword aura surged into the sky, and a 5-colored sword aura flowed. The sword aura pointed at Lin Chen's position, and the swords buzzed as they suddenly pierced forward. The 2 swords suddenly turned into a streak of lightning-like light in midair, sweeping up a boundless sword aura storm. The power of this move had already reached the orange grade. With 2 super geniuses attacking together, the power was even more shocking. Sky Demon Statue Fist. The two geniuses who had absorbed the ancient demonic bear stood proudly. Demonic aura rose above their heads, forming two magnificent demonic statues. When they punched out, their fists moved the galaxy thousands of miles away, sweeping through all directions. There were even 4 red-haired youths with fiery eyebrows. They stepped on flying flame dragons, and rolling flames gathered on their right arms. The 4 of them struck out with a claw, and their battle auras exploded. Flaming God Claw. The swirling flames formed a giant dragon claw that could burn mountains and boil seas. Chaotian Gate was even more terrifying. The sword aura dragon above their heads pierced through the void and turned into countless sword steels. They were like immemorial sword sages walking in the void, and their sword auras burst forth like a storm of pear blossoms. 100 Sages' Sword, oblivion of sun and moon. Every sword aura that was as thin as a gossamer swept through the void, causing faint spatial fluctuations to distort. The moves of these geniuses were all orange-grade. However, there was a hint of fragmentation. It was an incomplete orange-grade technique. Moreover, it was barely controlled, and there were signs of it going out of control. However, no matter how weak it was still an orange-grade technique. When used by the geniuses ranked 8,700 to 9,900 on the genius roll, the spirit chi within 100,000 feet was crushed into nothingness. Lin Chen was trapped in the endless attacks, and he was like a lone sail facing a monstrous wave. Lin Chen still didn't turn back. Swoosh. Shintoku Sho stood behind Lin Chen, wearing a purple robe. He looked gentle and elegant. With a confident smile on his face, he grabbed 3 peak-level 7th-grade lightning elemental arrows. Jundok Shuai and Zhen Dang each held their swords and sabers. They each had a similar smile on their faces, and they weren't afraid of the attacks at all. Shintoku Sho drew his sacred bow, Azure Imperial Thunder. Lightning coiled around the bow like silver snake. He pulled the bowstring, and 3 arrows were released at the same time. Feel the auspicious feather from the Black Horse Club. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 3 arrows were released at once. Faint, blazing rainbows remained in the void. They were extremely beautiful, like the dazzling starlight before a beautiful meteor fell. But they were extremely dazzling, and people couldn't help but marvel at how beautiful they were. Jundok Shuai held Optimus Prime in his hand. His anger burned like a raging fire. He slashed with his sword, and the orange sword aura's power reached an unprecedented critical level. An extremely dazzling moonlight slash flashed from the azure blade in Zhen Dang's hand. It was as if the dim world was illuminated by the moonlight for a split second. You overestimate yourselves. Do you think you can stop us with just these 3 people? Are the people from the Black Horse Club a bunch of brainless people? Are you looking down on us, or are you overestimating yourselves? You're not the only one who owns the sacred artifacts and orange-grade techniques. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you have a little background. You're not qualified to be arrogant in front of us. Many geniuses sneered. Although the Black Horse Club's attacks were powerful, it was obviously impossible for them to fight against the orange-grade techniques of all the geniuses. However, the next moment, the geniuses' pupils suddenly trembled, and they made strange gurgling noises. The next moment, the arrows suddenly trembled and turned into 15 meteor-like arrows? The slash split into 5, and the aurora became even brighter. The orange rainbow crossed the sky, and the 5 swords filled the sky. Rip, bang, bang, bang. The golem's giant fist was shot through, and the sword rays that were as thin as gossamer were cut into pieces by the sword rainbows. All the attacks were like 2 earth-shattering hurricanes that blew together and collided. Crack, crack, boom. A huge earthquake occurred on the ground within a 50-mile radius. The ground collapsed, and dense cracks like a spider web appeared. It was a shocking sight. At the center of the battle, a 5-colored mushroom cloud rose into the sky. Many geniuses were shocked as if they had seen a ghost. What kind of technique is this? It can actually split the attack into 5? He actually managed to block all of our attacks. This isn't something that illusions and tricks can compare to. It was extremely strange. All the geniuses present were from top sects and families. They had seen a lot of things and techniques that were beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. However, even people as strong as them had never seen an orange-grade technique that could be split into 5 parts without reducing its power. All the geniuses were shocked at first, and then they were excited. They clearly saw that this technique was suitable for different types and attributes of combat techniques. Damn, if they obtained such a precious technique, wouldn't it be just a matter of time before they entered the monster ranking? Chapter 1076. This kid has a big secret on him. Kill him. Chase him. His value is far beyond that of the demonic tribe's daughter. After discovering that Lin Chen had used instant light split shadows, all the geniuses shouted excitedly as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Just as the geniuses were about to chase after him, a black shadow appeared above Lin Chen's head. All the geniuses were shocked and knew that something was wrong. It's that ghost monkey. Damn it, that bastard actually hid well before assassinating us. He's going to succeed. Activated instant light split shadows, charged, penetrated, and heavenly invisibility runes. Consumed 68 points of high-grade rune energy and 50 talent points. Whoosh. The black shadow turned into a sharp stream of light and pierced towards Lin Chen's head. A ferocious face rolled out from the dark battle aura. Ha ha ha, kid, I want both your secret and the head of the demonic tribe's daughter. Lin Chen's expression was still calm. He even calmly used ultimate restoration to replenish his battle aura. Slash. 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 Sword light flashed and streaks of light fell. 20 sharp sword lights slashed towards the monkey-faced man, not giving him any time to react at all. Complete assault talent activated. Power increased by 300%. The saber light slashed at the monkey-faced man's body. The saber light slashed wildly and actually cut through the defense on his body. It turned into a rain of blood that filled the sky. A genius had fallen. This was the first time Lin Chen had killed a genius in the top 10,000 of the genius ranking. This shadow-flying dagger quadruple combo was a hidden attack that Lin Chen had hidden with the heavenly invisibility runes. When he activated instant light split shadows, its power was at its peak. Lin Chen circulated his battle aura and formed an energy barrier to burn away the rain of blood above his head. He leaped into the air and collected the dozens of attribute light balls and storage rings that the genius had dropped after he died. Hiss! All the geniuses gasped. When did this kid have a backup plan? They didn't even see the traces of his attack. By the time they reacted, countless flying daggers had already chopped the monkey-faced man to death. Zhen Dechang's clone, who had entered a weakened state, immediately became lively again after using extreme return to origin and illusion runes to make up for it. All of a sudden, a furious thunderous roar shook the surroundings. The airflow collapsed, and Qi disintegrated with the sound of an explosion. Brat, you dare to play tricks on me? You've got guts. A gust of yellow sand tore through the sky and transformed into a storm. Sandstorms rose from all directions and swept over like dragons, attacking from the right side behind Lin Chen. Zhao Tianquan had actually come. When they saw Zhao Tianquan charging to the side of the valley, the expressions of all the geniuses changed slightly. Lin Chen frowned. This guy had gotten rid of those old antiques so quickly? As expected of a monster ranked in the top 5,000 of the genius ranking. Zhao Tianquan? He's here too? The geniuses had apprehensive looks on their faces. Zhao Tianquan, who had long entered the top 5,000, was terrifyingly strong. These people had ulterior motives, they couldn't work together. If they fought alone, they would definitely be defeated by Zhao Tianquan one by one. This guy's pretty fast. If I don't shake him off, I won't be able to fight him. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. Seeing that Little Shadow was about to pounce on him, Lin Chen stopped him and let his clones and Little Shadow act separately. 9-colored starlight gathered in his palm like a vortex, and the corners of Lin Chen's lips curled up slightly. Zhao Tiankuan was different from the 20 super geniuses. The former was at least 3 levels stronger than them. Zhao Tiankuan's previous casual attack had forced Lin Chen and all his clones to unleash their orange tier talents and go all out to receive it. To stop such a strong enemy, Lin Chen had to bring out some trump cards. Young Master Zhao, right? Try this. Lin Chen laughed heartily. With a swing of his hand, the 9 tribulations star revolved with destructive starlight. Its dazzling and translucent brilliance shone with 9 colors and turned into a polar star that fell toward Zhao Tiankuan. Buzz! The 9 tribulations star trembled and instantly split into 5. Then, 5 scattered 9-colored stars shot out. The expressions of all the geniuses changed slightly. Even someone as strong as Zhao Tiankuan couldn't help but change slightly. What a strange attack! Dragon fights the universe, break for me! Zhao Tiankuan grabbed with his palm, and his battle aura formed a yellow dragon that filled the sky. A sandstorm wreaked havoc, and the rolling dust turned into a giant dragon that soared into the sky. The 9-colored star exploded, and a 9-colored pillar of light rose and spun continuously. The 20 super geniuses gathered their strength and unleashed their strongest attacks on Lin Chen's 9 tribulations star. 5 9-colored pillars of light spun, exuding a destructive aura, and sealed off everyone's path forward. Lin Chen took the opportunity to retreat rapidly and snatch the attribute light balls dropped by the injured geniuses. With Zhao Tiankuan holding the line, he couldn't kill all the super geniuses. Whoosh! A yellow dragon tore through one of the 9-colored pillars of light. It was Zhao Tiankuan. Zhao Tiankuan was wearing an earthen yellow battle aura armor that was indestructible. It dissolved all attacks and energy shockwaves, and he almost walked out of the 9-colored pillar of light. He actually tore through the shockwaves of Lin Chen's 9 tribulations star by force? His strength was so strong that it made one's hair stand on end. Even the other super geniuses couldn't do it, let alone take this risk. The 9-colored pillar of light was enhanced by Lin Chen's charge and penetration rune, and it was extremely destructive. Zhao Tiankuan was so angry that he laughed. Don't think you can escape from me. He stepped on a hidden dragon, and his speed was extremely fast. He charged all the way to the space 10,000 feet behind Lin Chen. A sandstorm tornado spun out from his palm. Zhao Tiankuan was about to launch another attack when suddenly, Lin Chen and Luo Yao turned into a streak of light, disappearing into the void. What? Zhao Tiankuan was stunned and dumbfounded. Whoosh! Space flashed, and Lin Chen's super-dimensional transfer jumped to the position of the Jundok Shui clone. He let the clones act separately just now to keep a backup plan. This bastard surnamed Zhao is really terrifying. If I go all out and compete with him in speed, I might not be his match. The boost from a complete low-grade odd crystal is really terrifying. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. His speed was unrivaled outside the top 10,000 of the genius list. There was actually a possibility of losing here. Zhao Tiankuan was born with the Myriad Mountains Demon Tribulation physique, and he had extraordinary control and talent for Earth Spirit Qi. This physique could borrow the power of the Earth to fight for him, and his strength was multiplied. He also cultivated his Zhao family's 4 elements dragon spirit art, which was a top-notch half-orange mental cultivation method that was almost tailor-made for Zhao Tiankuan. In addition, he had a 5th-grade sacred bloodline, and his talent was heaven-defying. It was said that when he was young, he only took a month to cultivate a purple-grade earth cultivation method. His talent was close to monstrous. What was even more terrifying was that he had refined a complete low-grade odd crystal. As long as he activated the power of the odd crystal, even if it was a war emperor, he would be able to split mountains and shatter mountains with a slight attack. It had the power to sink a small plane. In the situation just now, only Little Shadow could fight with Zhao Tianquan alone. Sure enough, the higher ones ranking on the genius list, the more terrifying their strength is. These guys are all freakishly talented. Before we find the location where Battle Sage Atlas died, I can't use my killing moves and slowing runes. I'd rather deal with these guys than give up on my only trump card. Lin Chen exhaled deeply, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. His eyes were sharp. Chapter 1077. Lin Chen had to admit that even though he was a 5th Tribulation Battle Emperor, it would be difficult for him to confront the top 5,000 geniuses without the help of the delaying rune. If he used the Gods tier, he didn't have enough confidence to suppress Zhao Tianquan. He had the Gods tier, but so did his opponent. This was his current limit. If he wanted to move forward, he would have to have more trump cards. After breaking through to the 5th Tribulation Battle Emperor, Lin Chen could barely use the Gods tier, but he could only use it once. This kind of saber art consumed too much of his battle chi and meridians. If he wasn't careful, his meridians would be destroyed. The sacred burying mountain range was different from the outside world. If he used the war god bracers here, Lin Chen's chances of survival would be 0. There were so many geniuses here and danger lurked everywhere. If he was completely exhausted, there was no chance of survival. There's only one way to use the war god bracers. It's either in a life or death situation, or to ensure that no other geniuses appear after using it. I can use the bracers to suppress all the geniuses I face. A ferocious look flashed across Lin Chen's eyes. For the Tai Futian script, he was almost putting his life on the line. If Lin Chen entered the sacred burying mountain range alone, it wouldn't be a problem to avoid these geniuses. He could use the innate dark shadow art to conceal his aura, and he would be like a fish in water in the sacred burying mountain range. But now, he had to take this female demon with him. Once he went anywhere, he would become the target of public criticism. Lin Chen found a cave. Little Shadow and the Dragon Emperor hid outside the mountain to protect him. Secondly, Lin Chen sent all his doppelgangers to use the innate dark shadow art to conceal their auras and continue searching the inner circle of the mountain range. His main purpose was to find clues about the Sky Prime Battle Sage. After advancing to the 5th Tribulation Battle Emperor, my doppelgangers and I are capable of fighting geniuses around the 8,000 rank. If we use the instant light doppelganger, we should be able to fight against geniuses around the 6,000 rank. But it's still not enough to face Zhao Tianquan. The sacred burying mountain range. If I'm not careful, this will be my burial ground. Lin Chen sighed. Those who came here were either geniuses at the pinnacle of the sacred boundary or a group of desperate old monsters who were trapped below the saint boundary and were about to die of old age. Following this, Lin Chen did not act rashly. He was now carrying a ticking time bomb, and he could not put her into the peach blossom plant pouch. Unless he had the ability to fight against many geniuses alone or escape from a large number of super geniuses, he would die if he showed his face. Lin Chen discovered that although the female devil cultivator was still unconscious, the unholy qi in her body had gradually dissipated, and was offset by more than half by her devil qi and Lin Chen's 9-yang life-returning pill. You can give her some medicinal pills to treat her injuries. Lin Chen crushed a dozen long qingguo, a glazed bodhi seed, and a first-grade healing holy pill, the beginning creation pill, which he had obtained from the Rainbow Island, and generously fed it to her. Without a large amount of 9 holy qi, Lin Chen could clearly detect the injuries in her body. Hiss! What a serious injury! Her meridians are broken, her bones are shattered, and even her internal organs are ruptured. There are also internal injuries in her flesh that were pierced by the sharp sword qi. This is? Lin Chen was shocked. There was no mistaking this injury. It was exactly the same as the little fairy's. It was an internal injury caused by Lin Xingchen's swordsmanship, and it was extremely terrifying. Back then, it was because the little fairy's cultivation was profound that she was able to avoid most of the damage caused by the sword qi. If it was an ordinary saint, even if they were not killed in an instant, they would have been tortured to death by the sword qi. Could it be that she fought with Lin Xingchen before? Or perhaps she fought with someone related to Lin Xingchen. That guy is as strong as a monster, and he is still severely injured? Could it be that she was the one who injured him? Many thoughts flashed through Lin Chen's mind, but he did not have time to think too much. He channeled a large amount of water calamity battle qi to help her catalyze the energy in her body. The sage elixir, Bodhi seed, and long qingguo started to heal her injuries at a stable rate. The long qingguo nourished her flesh, the Bodhi seed healed her injured internal organs, and the origin creation elixir healed her broken bones. These healing elixirs were all gentle in energy and would not harm the host. Lin Chen used all his resources to heal her injuries within the limits of her body's tolerance. Every time he saw the beautiful face under the cloak, Lin Chen's heart would beat faster, and he could not help but laugh bitterly. "My dear lady, please don't die. If you die, I can only use the stupidest way to enter the sage prison. To think that I, Lin Xingchen, have lived a handsome life and traveled the world, but in the end I have to enter the sage prison by being imprisoned. That would be too ridiculous." After settling the black-robed woman down, Lin Chen sat cross-legged and fell into deep thought. Should I leave her here and send a doppelganger to protect her? No, the geniuses who entered the sacred burial mountain range this time have extraordinary means. A few geniuses who are good at exploration or perception will be able to find her. At that time, my doppelganger may not be able to protect her, and I may not be able to rush back in time. Lin Chen thought for a long time, but could not find a good way. In the end, his strength was still too weak, and any method he used was limited. If it was just to take her away, Lin Chen was completely capable of doing it. However, Lin Chen also had to find the remnant scroll of the Tai Futian mantra, which made it difficult for him, who had always been full of ideas. A fifth tribulation cultivation is not enough. What other ways do I have to quickly increase my strength? To increase my elemental attribute. Now that I'm a fifth tribulation cultivator, even super geniuses can only drop a limited amount of elemental attribute points. Directly decomposing 8th grade medicinal herbs to obtain elemental attribute points is something that can only be found by chance. Lin Chen rummaged through the storage ring of the monkey-faced man who had died under the vanishing shadow flying dagger. There were cultivation methods and some pills, but he did not find anything useful at the moment. Cultivation methods? I only have half an orange-grade cultivation method, which is not very useful. Should I use strengthening points? I want to be strong, but how can I be strong? I haven't cultivated God's tier to perfection, so I can't move. Right now, all my main combat skills have been strengthened to plus 15. Do I really have to rely on slowing runes and killing moves? Just as Lin Chen was pondering in distress, Zhao Tianquan's figure suddenly flashed through his mind. A thought struck Lin Chen like a bolt of lightning. He instantly froze in place as if he had been struck by lightning. In the next moment, Lin Chen flipped over his storage ring, and an exquisite jade box appeared in his palm. Inside the jade box there was a dazzling jade that was as dazzling as a blazing star. It was extremely beautiful and breathtaking. The dazzling aurora illuminated the entire cave and almost blinded Lin Chen's handsome eyes. The jade in this jade box was the only complete low-grade odd crystal that Lin Chen possessed at the moment, a light-type odd crystal. As for the embryonic odd crystal that was being cultivated, it would still take some time for it to be born. Lin Chen's heart was beating with passion and excitement. Perhaps it was time. Take the most important step, the moment to control the odd crystal. Chapter 1078. Lin Chen clearly felt the power of a low-grade odd crystal from the day he fought with the false god to the day he met Zhao Tianquan. After coming to the sacred boundary, he only obtained odd crystal fragments that were equivalent to 1,000th or 1,000th of an odd crystal's power. He had never dared to refine the odd crystal he obtained from the ancient god. The reason was very simple. Its energy was like the abyss, the sea, and the world. That Zhao Tianquan refined the low-grade odd crystal without the help of a powerful sage. In addition, his physique made me feel suffocated by the pressure of the entire earth. It could be said that the right time, place, and people were all in order to control a low-grade odd crystal. Although I don't have the help of a sage, my ninth calamity battle body naturally has the effect of restraining and assimilating odd crystals of the same attribute. Lin Chen's eyes burst out with a resolute light. I have no choice now. Time waits for no one. My elemental attribute values and cultivation have changed dramatically compared to when I first met the ancient god. I might have a chance. Moreover, if I really can't do it in the end, I will use the system's decomposition function to decompose it into special attribute values. Compared to other powerhouses who are at their wits' end, I still have a way out. It's right to do it. Now that he was a fifth calamity cultivator, he was no longer as weak as the ninth-level combat emperor when facing odd crystals. Now, he had the strength and foundation to try to tame and control this power. Suddenly, Lin Chen opened the jade box and the clear and exquisite light attribute odd crystal quickly entered his palm. He instantly activated the 9 calamities of creation mental cultivation method and began to refine it. The light in his palm shone brightly. Lin Chen felt as if he was holding a star in his hand, as if he was plucking a star. Lin Chen injected all his battle chi into the light calamity battle body, and his entire body blazed with light. The light attribute odd crystal melted like milk and gradually sank into Lin Chen's palm, following Lin Chen's arm. Thousands of rays of light gushed out from the top of Lin Chen's head like a divine light shining on the world, pouring a huge amount of light attribute energy into every meridian in Lin Chen's body. The host has received 99 points of advanced light energy, 101 points of light energy, 94 points of light energy. Lin Chen's light energy skyrocketed. As expected, my light calamity battle body can assimilate the ability of odd crystals. Before Lin Chen could be happy for even a second, he immediately vomited blood. The terrifying majestic energy flowed into his body. Even though Lin Chen's elemental attribute had skyrocketed and his 9-color fate wheel was no longer what it used to be, facing the energy of this light-type odd crystal, it was still like the difference between a young rabbit and a giant bear. At this rate, it was only a matter of time before Lin Chen exploded from the energy of the odd crystal. Heavens, what terrifying energy! No wonder that bastard Zhao Tianquan was so strong. Let's go all out. I'll leave a clone outside and gather the power of the clones to refine it together. I don't believe that I can't suppress this odd crystal. Lin Chen gritted his teeth and activated the 8-layer transformation. When the ultimate moment was activated, the efficiency of refining the odd crystal greatly increased, but it was still a drop in the bucket. Every complete low-grade odd crystal was born in the area with the densest concentration of all kinds of energy in the world. After countless eras of compression, condensation, and formation, it had absorbed an unknown amount of energy. If it wasn't for Lin Chen's light calamity battle body that had the effect of assimilating and restraining light-type odd crystals, ordinary geniuses who refined a complete odd crystal alone would explode and die within a few breaths. Lin Chen quickly absorbed the endless light-type energy. Fortunately, his 4 clones were teleported back. All the clones entered the ultimate moment state and the efficiency of refining doubled. The 4 clones and the main body used the mental cultivation method to refine the odd crystal together. It was seamless, as if they were one. Finally, Lin Chen's efficiency of refining the light-type odd crystal stabilized slightly, but his injuries were getting worse. Even if Lin Chen hurriedly took the glazed Bodhi seed and Long Qingguo, the rapid recovery of his injuries was constantly accumulating new internal injuries. However, although the price was heavy, Lin Chen's advanced light-type energy soared in a straight line. This was the fastest increase in Lin Chen's elemental attribute after he converted it to the advanced level. Decomposing Grade 8 medicinal herbs, Grade 8 rare ores, robbing the Chen family, they were all trash in front of this surge. Lin Chen's advanced light-type energy broke through from 4,659 points to 10,000 points in the blink of an eye. It didn't stop, the advanced light-type energy was still surging. It only took half an hour to break through 15,000 points. On the other side, Zhao Tianquan was played by Lin Chen time and time again, and he flew into a rage out of humiliation. His appearance was no longer as frivolous and lazy as when he first entered the sacred burial mountain range. Instead, it was replaced by a serious and fierce expression. So those guys are the Black Horse Club, and the one who played me is the famous Lin Chen? Hee, interesting. I, Zhao Tianquan, want to see where you can hide today. Zhao Tianquan's mouth curled into a cold smile. He landed on the ground, bent down, and placed his palm on the ground. The earth-type odd crystal on his right arm flowed and shone with a yellow light. At this moment, all the energy fluctuations in the nearby area, the movement of the grass in the wind, the flowers and trees were clearly detected through his earth-type odd crystal. Lin Chen's only clone, Jundok Shui, suddenly narrowed his eyes. Between the towering peaks ahead, there were a large number of attribute light balls flickering. That direction is close to the core area. Jundok Shui sensed a suffocating sense of oppression from the center of the peaks. Geniuses and experts had gathered. Buzz. Suddenly, a sense of crisis gripped Jundok Shui. A pair of green and yellow pupils emerged in Jundok Shui's mind, and he said in surprise, "My goodness, is that Zhao Tianquan? He can still sense me from so far away." Jundok Shui grinned, used Dragon Flash, and rushed toward the center of the attribute light ball. Sacred Burial Mountain Range, east of the Western Sky battlefield. The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. In the center of the peaks was a group of skeletons as tall as mountains. They were all the skeletons of holy beasts. Here, a chaotic battle between saints and holy beasts broke out. In the Western Sky battlefield, all the remains of saints and ferocious beasts were in the energy enchantment, and the brilliance of the enchantment was gradually fading. More than 70,000 feet in the air, a thick poisonous miasma shrouded and permeated. If there were saints here, they might be able to find some abnormalities. Inside the poisonous miasma, there were actually 4 cage-like ancient arrays. These ancient arrays were either like a 4-sided prison, a pair of huge shackles, or an ancient array of heavenly spirits and earthly fiends. They were vague and ancient, permeating with an ancient aura, hidden in the miasma. The slightly overflowing energy in the ancient arrays was enough to prove that these arrays could be activated at any time. These ancient arrays were the main reason why a large number of saints and holy beasts had fallen back then. What was even more strange and eerie was that behind the ancient arrays was a strange giant bronze coffin. Below and around, a group of figures floated in the air. Some were cold and ruthless, some were dignified, some were charming, and some were in control of the universe. Geniuses were gathered. The geniuses stared fervently at the situation inside the energy enchantment. Among the remains of the saints, some of them wore high-grade storage rings on their finger bones. Saint treasures. A complete saint's legacy. The most important thing was that none of the saints who entered this place back then were ordinary saints. They were all masters of the saint realm. The lowest was the 3rd level of the saint realm, the level with 21 saint points or more. Among the 57 saint remains, 45 of them wore storage rings and became the target of all the geniuses present. It could be seen that a total of 57 saints had fallen here. Counting the scattered ferocious beast skeletons, no one could imagine what kind of terrible war had broken out here back then. Chapter 1079. As for the old Fifth Tribulation Battle Emperors, their target was the remains of the saints. They wanted to obtain the energy in the bone marrow and use other methods to break through to the saint realm. Some saint realm experts were still wearing their saint armors and battle helmets, standing tall and strong. If they could get their hands on a storage ring, they would be able to obtain the wealth of the saint. This was a fatal temptation for all the geniuses present. A young man in linen clothes looked ordinary, but his eyes were as bright as stars. He frowned and said, "This energy barrier is the product of the saint's Saint Chi after his death. It's hard to break it open if we attack it with brute force." The beautiful woman in a red robe beside him chuckled. "Everyone is conserving their strength. No one wants to be the one to break the energy barrier. I estimate that in another 3 days, the energy barrier here will collapse on its own." Rumble! Suddenly, an attack broke into the battlefield. Zhao Tianquan was standing on a sand dragon. His fingers were as fast as a gust of wind and lightning. Then, he shot out a sandstorm toward a young man. The eyes of all the geniuses turned to look at him, and they were slightly surprised. "Is that Zhao Tianquan? The young man he's chasing has a strange movement technique." While the geniuses were surprised, Jundok Shuai's eyes fell on the remains of the saints in the energy barrier. He looked excited. "Is this the location near the core of the sacred burying mountain range? The Heaven Prime Battle Sage is probably one of the remains of the fallen saint." The more Jundok Shuai looked at the remains, the more shocked he became. Beside the remains of the saints and the skeletons of the saint beasts, there were thousands of elemental light balls. In the center there were 3 5-colored light balls. There were 52 orange light balls. There were 3 5-colored supreme treasure chests and 52 orange crystal treasure chests. Ridiculous! This is King ridiculous! He had never seen so many elemental light balls and elemental treasure chests. He was going to make a huge fortune. However, in the next moment, Jundok Shuai's pupils trembled. He could clearly see a golden light beam rising from the core of the sacred burying mountain range. This golden light beam was the light of the elemental light balls. Only Lin Chen's clone could see it. Behind Jundok Shuai, Zhao Tianquan was even more alarmed. Just now, when he was chasing after this kid, the kid's speed actually increased. In the end, even he felt a little exhausted. Could it be that this guy's movement technique is the best in the Black Horse Club? My 1000 Sand Berserk Dragon movement technique is actually unable to catch up to him? Zhao Tianquan's killing intent skyrocketed. Jundok Shuai smiled when he saw Zhao Tianquan charging at him. Super-dimensional teleportation talent has successfully established a spatial coordinate. The spatial location is the 5th spatial coordinate. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, when the Jundok Shuai was about to be forced to the edge of the energy barrier by Zhao Tianquan, the Jundok Shuai snapped his fingers coquettishly. "Our most handsome director Lin of the Sacred Boundary hasn't arrived yet. Young Master Zhao, I'll play with you next time." Jundok Shuai smiled coquettishly and turned into a beam of spatial light, disappearing in an instant. The eyes of all the geniuses trembled, and their expressions were very interesting. Spatial travel? What is this kid's background? Even saints have a hard time tearing through the void in the sacred burial mountain range. How did he do it? Zhao Tianquan's expression was gloomy, and he restrained himself. His gaze fell on the saint's remains in the energy barrier, and his heart calmed down. "Forget it, let's get the treasure first, then we'll kill these bastards from the Black Horse Club later." Jundok Shuai teleported back to Lin Chen's side and joined the cultivation camp. 2 days later. Rumble. The cave was on the verge of collapse. An array of white light illuminated the sky. Lin Chen opened his eyes, and 2 auroras shot out from his pupils, piercing through the solid stone wall in the cave. The terrifying thing was that the space where the auroras passed through was actually somewhat distorted. Lin Chen was bathed in blood, and after paying the price of serious injuries, he completely absorbed this low-grade light attribute odd crystal, light wheel odd crystal. He panted and kept using extreme origin restoration to recover his injuries, and looked at his right arm excitedly. Lin Chen's right arm flashed with a gem that was as bright as a polar star. Every time it flashed, it emitted a wave-like brilliance. That was his light wheel odd crystal. I, Lin Chen, have finally controlled an odd crystal, ha 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 ha. Lin Chen was so excited that he threw his head back and laughed maniacally. He couldn't suppress the ecstasy in his heart and opened the system. Heaven Path Attribute Picking System version 6. 0 Host. Lin Chen. Cultivation. 5th Calamity Combat Emperor. Advanced Essence. 9. 88 million points limit strength. 99. 99 million dragon power. Advanced blood. 8. 16 million points advanced spirit attribute. 11,646 points. Half-step saint. Advanced cultivation technique essence. 12,771 points. Advanced rune energy. 10,051 points. Intermediate heaven path. 11,066 points. Intermediate talent points. 10,212 points. Blank attribute. 344 million points. Strengthening points. 8. 94 million points. Advanced elemental energy. Fire 6604 points, Earth 6150 points, Wood 6200 points, Metal 6366 points, Water 6488 points, Lightning 6100 points, Wind 641 points, Light 6766 points, Dark 5880 points. Cultivation Technique Status Column, Open or Not. Bloodline Status Column, Open or Not. Passive Talent Column. Green rank, Dual Cultivation Acacia. Purple rank, Assault. Purple rank, Tear. Orange rank, Extreme God Possession Fragment, 2/4. Active Talent Column. Purple rank, Steel Omen. Purple rank, Fatal Bloodthirst. Purple rank, Super Dimensional Teleportation. Purple rank, Ultimate Moment. Purple rank, Extreme Origin Restoration. Purple rank, Sovereign's Descent. Quasi-Orange rank, Absolute Life and Death. Orange rank, Instant Light Split Shadows. Orange rank One Time. Heaven Defying, 1/2 Fragment. Killing Technique Column, Open or Not. Characteristic Rune Column, Open or Not. Talent Combination Technique, Open or Not. Lin Chen was stunned. He was like a fool who had picked up a treasure. His teeth were chattering as he stood there in a daze. This advanced light attribute energy was King ridiculous. What a powerful force. Even if I only use the light calamity battle body to throw a punch, the lethality is no less than a half orange rank combat skill that I used with all my strength. If I use my pure strength to unleash a light attribute combat skill, that would be awesome. Lin Chen's scalp went numb. Just by refining the wheel light odd crystal, Lin Chen's advanced light attribute energy had increased by more than 60,000 points. And this was just the basic growth brought by the low-grade odd crystal. In addition, when Lin Chen used his light calamity battle chi to activate the wheel light odd crystal, his light calamity battle chi would be accompanied by a wheel of blazing light. This was the unique energy of the low-grade odd crystal, also known as the power of the odd crystal. After truly controlling the odd crystal, Lin Chen was almost certain that he wouldn't be able to defeat Zhao Tianquan without the slowing rune and his killing technique. Previously, Zhao Tianquan didn't even use the power of the odd crystal. He relied on his own foundation and the basic growth brought by refining the odd crystal to crush Lin Chen. No wonder the value of the odd crystal fragments can't be compared to a complete odd crystal. No matter how high the quality of the broken odd crystal fragments is, the purity of the energy is less than 1% of a complete odd crystal. It's nothing more than the size of a complete odd crystal on the outside. Lin Chen estimated that as long as he used the power of the wheel-light odd crystal in his right arm to unleash combat skills, the power would far surpass his previous self. However, activating the power of the odd crystal consumed a lot of energy. If he wanted to use the power of the odd crystal frequently, he had to support it with his holy qi. Lin Chen estimated that he could only activate the power of the odd crystal twice before using up 90% of his battle qi. Lin Chen's battle qi was no longer the same as before, and the recovery speed of ultimate return also needed time. He couldn't afford to use the power of the odd crystal. Combat skills that were supported by the power of the odd crystal would have a temporary surge in power. Lin Chen's doppelganger could also use the power of the odd crystal, but the consumption of battle qi was also extremely high. Basically, the doppelganger would lose its ability to fight temporarily after using it twice. Among the combat skills that I have mastered, the Lucky Feather Arrow Technique and Dragon Flash Technique are light attribute combat skills. If I switch to light attribute combat skills, the original power will be reduced. Lin Chen clenched his fists excitedly. But no matter how much it reduces, a combat skill with more than 60,000 points of advanced light attribute energy will far surpass the power of other combat skills with only a few thousand points of elemental attribute value. In less than 3 days, Lin Chen had undergone a heaven-defying transformation and his strength had soared by several levels. He made the right bet. He paid the price of being seriously injured in exchange for the power to control a low-grade odd crystal. Lin Chen wasn't like other geniuses. His growth rate was extremely ridiculous. He had the Phantom Rune and the Instant Light Split Shadow talent. This wheel-light odd crystal increased his strength by more than just a little. Everything would be known once he entered actual combat. Chapter 1080. If I meet Zhao Tianquan again, I can probably torture him until he calls me father. Lin Chen's brows revealed a domineering aura that looked down on the world. He stuffed 10 long qingguo into his mouth, chewed them up, and swallowed a glazed bodhi seed. The injuries in his body were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Being able to control an odd crystal with a 5th tribulation cultivation, compared to some human prodigies, he's not inferior. At this moment, in a water tribulation energy barrier in the cave, the black-robed beauty said weakly. Lin Chen was shocked and quickly turned his head, walking to her and squatting down. "You're awake?" Luo Yaoer turned her head away and didn't look at Lin Chen's face. She said expressionlessly, "I woke up half a day ago. Why did you save me? Aren't you afraid that I'll take you away by force?" Lin Chen was taken aback and scratched his head. "Well, are you still thinking about me? Although I'm handsome and you're beautiful, we're obviously not on the same path. Oh my God, why did you kick me?" Although there was a cloak and veil between them, Lin Chen could still feel Luo Yaoer's cold gaze. Her face was probably as cold as frost at this moment. Luo Yaoer said coldly, "Yes, we're not on the same path. If you don't surrender to me, I'll kill you sooner or later. If you don't want to regret it, it's best to kill me now. This is your only chance." Luo Yaoer stared at Lin Chen, who suddenly felt a sense of oppression enveloping him. It was as if he wasn't facing a person, but a world pressing down on his head. He could feel that this woman wasn't joking. She would really kill him. A ray of light flashed across the demonic seal in Lin Chen's palm and disappeared. Lin Chen sighed. "I still won't surrender to you, but I don't want to kill you either. Can't we just sit down and talk? Do you have to be so ruthless?" At this time, Lin Chen didn't know that if he really wanted to kill her, even if it was only for a moment, he, Lin Chen, would be in trouble. Luo Yaoer said indifferently, there's no chance to talk. I entered the human race in order to find the prophesied heavens, chosen child of the human race. As long as there is a human who matches the prophecy, I won't let him go. Either he surrenders to my race or he dies. Lin Chen frowned. I don't know what prophecy you're talking about, but I can tell you that no one has ever seen through my destiny. The prophecy you're talking about is definitely not me. Luo Yaoer was expressionless. Who knows? After saying that, she stood up with difficulty. Her loose black robe was unable to completely conceal her exquisite figure. She had just walked a dozen steps out of the cave when she kicked a stone. Her swaying body fell down. Lin Chen supported her. The delicate fragrance of the beauty lingered in his nose. He said helplessly, "Your injuries haven't completely healed yet. The unholy qi has just disappeared. Your injuries still have a lot of problems." Luo Yaoer said indifferently, "Then I don't need a guy like you to care about me." Lin Chen was stunned. This woman was still stubborn with him? But we're in the same boat now. I can't just leave you alone, can I? Lin Chen's biggest shortcoming is that I respect the old and love the young. I'm always willing to help others. Alas, this shortcoming has to be fixed in the future. It has to be fixed. The relationship between the two was now so tense that Lin Chen didn't dare to directly ask about the holy prison. This woman was obviously the type who could be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. If Lin Chen threatened her, he was afraid that he would end up in mutual destruction. However, he wasn't afraid of this. She could be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force? As long as it's a woman, I don't believe that Lin Chen, can't handle her. In the end, I'll make you suffer both by force and persuasion. Luo Yaoer said disdainfully, "Are you coaxing a child? Don't think that I don't know what you're up to." Damn, how could she see through this? Lin Chen nodded seriously without blushing and said, "You can even see through this. Yes, I admit that I'm lusting after your body. I'm that honest." Luo Yaoer looked deeply at Lin Chen. She stretched out her jade-like arm and put it on Lin Chen's shoulder. She said indifferently, "I know where you want to go. Before I recover my strength, you can't die." Lin Chen was stunned. "You can recover your strength?" Luo Yaoer threw a meaningful sentence at him. "It depends on your performance." "What the hell? Whether you can recover your strength or not depends on my performance. Could it be that being handsome can also help others recover their strength? Could it be that she wants to do that with me? Legend has it that certain cultivation methods could allow one to heal and cultivate while doing that kind of thing?" Thinking of this, Lin Chen pulled open his collar in grief and indignation. He shouted with a look that said, "If I don't go to hell, who will go to hell? Since that's the case, then come. Don't take pity on me because I'm handsome. I'm a member of the Black Horse Club, so I can withstand the torment." Luo Yaoer raised her hand and punched his handsome face. His nose had almost been smashed off. Lin Chen covered his nose. "Why did you hit me? I don't like this. I told you to carry me. Why are you undressing?" Luo Yaoer gnashed her teeth in anger. If it weren't for his performance that day, she would have turned Lin Chen into a puppet right now. Lin Chen was startled and smiled coquettishly. "So you want to be behind me?" Burial Mountain Range, Western Heaven's ancient battlefield. More than 2,000 geniuses gathered in the sky within a radius of hundreds of miles. Including some old battle emperors outside the energy barrier, there were more than 4,000 people present. Whoosh! A spatial light beam suddenly descended. This spatial light attracted everyone's attention. Someone could actually travel through the void in the sacred Burial Mountain Range. Who was it? Fortunately, I'm not late. There's still a chance. Lin Chen chuckled. Luo Yaoer's graceful figure appeared in the air. When he descended, Lin Chen's shoulders shook, and all his clones appeared. The Dragon Emperor and Little Shadow protected him on his left and right. "Lin Chen? This bastard can actually travel through the void? What kind of freaks are the people of the Black Horse Club? The 19 super geniuses who had encircled Lin Chen before had solemn expressions. Demon race's bastard? I didn't expect that she would dare to appear in front of us so openly. No, it's not her who appeared in front of us. It's that kid who brought her here. Oh? So that's the legendary Black Horse Club? I just received news that he has a secret technique that can temporarily step into the saint realm and kill 14 saints. At the moment when the energy barrier was about to disappear, Lin Chen's arrival attracted almost everyone's attention. When they saw the female demon race behind Lin Chen, most of the geniuses had some killing intent and greed in their hearts. However, most of the geniuses were as smart as ghosts. Whether or not they had heard of Lin Chen's record of slaughtering saints, no one took the lead. When Zhao Tianquan saw the Jundok Shui beside Lin Chen, he was so angry that he struck out with his palm. Boom! Hundreds of millions of tons of yellow sand rolled up a sandstorm, and like a spinning sand dragon, it rushed toward Lin Chen and the others. Many of the geniuses raised their eyebrows. Zhao Tianquan's hatred for the Black Horse Club was not just a little bit. The next moment, the Jundok Shui smiled faintly, stretched out his palm, and gently clenched it. A white light rotated in his palm, overflowing with a wheel-like brilliance, instantly enveloping the battle aura sand dragon. Bang! The sand dragon exploded, and hundreds of millions of tons of yellow sand formed by the vigorous battle aura exploded, and yellow sand poured down from the sky. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. All the handsome guys in the Black Horse Club opened an oil paper umbrella, looking very coquettish. Chapter 1081. Zhao Tianquan's pupils quivered. He actually took my attack with one hand? There was a world of difference between his current strength and his previous strength. The super geniuses who had besieged Lin Chen stared at Lin Chen in horror as if they had seen a ghost. How is this possible? They had to use the killing technique of splitting into 5 to block Zhao Tianquan's attack. Now, they only used one hand? Although Zhao Tianquan didn't show much of his strength, the growth rate of the Black Horse Club's members is ridiculous. The disciples of the Ethereal Sword sect were especially shocked. They swallowed their saliva with difficulty. When they first met Lin Chen, the members of the Black Horse Club were only 4th Tribulation Combat Emperors. How long has it been since they entered the 5th Calamity Battle Emperor realm? And now, he had taken Zhao Tianquan's attack with one hand. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with all the members of the Black Horse Club. The disciples of the Ethereal Sword sect were shocked. It was reasonable for one person to have a fortuitous encounter and break through. But how many people broke through at the same time? How could there be such a coincidence in the world? Jundok Shui raised his eyebrows and chuckled. Isn't this young Master Zhao? What's wrong? Are you a sore loser? Or do you think that the members of the Black Horse Club are more handsome than you? Jundok Shui's move shocked the crowd. The geniuses were shocked. What a pure light elemental battle chi. What cultivation method is he practicing? Interesting. I want to meet him more and more. Some of the geniuses were eager to try. A red-robed woman stood in the sky on the south side with a sword on her back. Her cold eyes flashed with doubt and curiosity. He is Lin Chen. What is he thinking? He actually wants to protect that demonic race and even brought him here in front of everyone. I can't see through him. If he is surrounded and attacked by everyone, how can he block these geniuses? Lin Chen was calm. As expected, none of the geniuses present dared to touch him. With the saint's treasure in front of them, everyone's target was the saint's remains. Besieging him at this time would only allow others to be the fishermen. The most important thing was the deterrence brought by strength. You're being watched. Be careful. The beauty whispered into his ear. Lin Chen's ears softened, and his whole body shivered. Once again, he controlled his gun to the limit. F***ck, this is killing me. 13 miles to the west, there's a guy wearing a ghost mask. His killing intent towards you is stronger than anyone else's, and he's coming for you, not me." Although Luo Yao was seriously injured and unable to move, her experience far surpassed everyone present. Lin Chun followed Luo Yao's line of sight and discovered that the other party was also staring at him. He was dressed in a gray robe and wore a ferocious ghost mask that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Lin Chun narrowed his eyes. "This guy gives me a dangerous feeling." Sensing Lin Chen's gaze, the ghost-masked gray-robed man retracted his gaze. Lin Chen actually couldn't feel his aura and killing intent at all, as if he had never existed in that space. Suddenly, Lin Chen's expression changed slightly, and his mind became excited. Shintoku Sho took out a golden armor fragment. The fragment flickered with a faint golden light, and it reacted for the first time. "That's right, it's here. The remains of the Heaven Atlas Battle Sage were here." Following the fragments of the golden armor, Lin Chun found the remains of a golden-colored, incomplete armor. Its bony finger was wearing a high-grade storage ring. "That's the former master of Miss Xiaoming's mother, the remains of the Heaven Atlas Battle Sage." Lin Chen's eyes flashed with a bright light. Tai Futian Mantra, the third fragment. Whether or not he could cultivate an orange-level mental cultivation method, success or failure depended on this. "This time, whoever blocks me will die. From the 9 prefectures to the sacred boundary, I've finally found it." Lin Chen's brows surged with an uncontrollable battle intent. Luo Yao, who was under the cloak, suddenly felt a little puzzled. Why was his battle intent suddenly surging? Buzz buzz buzz. At this moment, the energy barrier started to fluctuate with sacred light, and it started to dissipate gradually and become transparent. Rumble. All the geniuses and ancient battle emperors were ready to attack. They quietly circulated their battle auras. "Hold on to me tightly later. I want to get rid of most of them first." Lin Chen's words were shocking, and even Luo Yao revealed a hint of surprise. Get rid of most of them? Lin Chen didn't have the strength to do that. What was he trying to do? There were more than 2,000 geniuses present, and many of them were in the top 5,000. Even a first-stage sage wouldn't be able to stop most of them. Lin Chen unfolded the sacred phoenix wings behind his back, and the beautiful purple-red wings flapped with the sound of the wind. Lin Chen and his clones' battle auras erupted, and the 8 transformations and the ultimate moment were activated. His light calamity battle aura had greatly increased due to the doubling effect of the ultimate moment. Luo Yao didn't have time to think, and the energy barrier suddenly disappeared. At this moment, Lin Chun held the azure moon in one hand, and the 9th calamity battle aura quickly disappeared, and all his battle aura was injected into the light wheel odd crystal. Swish. Rumble. The moment the energy barrier dissipated, a sonic boom wreaked havoc. Countless movement techniques, bloodline abilities, special constitutions, and strange techniques were unleashed at the same time. But everyone suddenly felt a purple-red dragon light flash past, and it was ridiculously fast. It was a few steps ahead of everyone else and reached the center of the area where the sage's remains were. Who is it? Is this an orange-grade movement technique? It's so fast? It's Lin Chun from the Black Horse Club. Damn, he can still be so fast with a woman on his back. All the geniuses were stunned. Lin Chun had killed his way into the center of the sage's remains. But he didn't snatch the sage's remains immediately, and each corpse was scattered in a different location. Not only did he not snatch the sage treasure, but he also slashed with one hand. "Scram over there for me!" Lin Chen roared in anger. Rumble. The surging Milky Way blade aura flashed out from his blade, and as it spun rapidly, it released the extreme light calamity battle aura. Almost all the geniuses were stunned for 1,000th of a second. What was he trying to do? Draw his blade on all the sage's remains? But in the next moment, A scene that made the geniuses' scalps go numb appeared. Bang! The aurora blade aura that was spinning 360 degrees suddenly exploded, bursting into countless fragments. Every blade aura fragment was as clear as jade, and it released an aurora that could shatter heaven and earth. Bang! 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 The fragments of the saber energy were like a rain of flowers that filled the sky. They fluttered about and crashed into the remains of all the saints like a violent storm. The 56 saint corpses were bombarded by the violent saber-chi fragments, and were sent flying even further away by the large number of saber-chi fragments. They all flew in different directions and became even more scattered. All the geniuses and antiques gasped. They were dumbfounded as if they had seen a ghost. Crazy! He must be crazy! Lin Chen's opening move was an orange-grade blade technique? He blasted all the sage's remains away and scattered them? Was this person sick? What's more, he's seriously ill. What was the meaning of this? It's fine if you don't want the sage treasure, but you're still here to mess things up? Lin Chen said, "You may profit, but I will never lose. I used God's tears right off the bat. How should I say this? Sorry, I don't intend to play by the rules, Luo Yaoer." Chapter 1082. Many experts felt their scalps go numb. Was Lin Chen crazy? Zhao Tianquan's mouth twitched. This kid also refined a low-grade odd crystal? He clearly saw the odd crystal power surging in Lin Chen's right arm the moment he swung the blade. Otherwise, even if the power of this blade was of the orange grade, it wouldn't be able to send all the sage remains flying so easily. What the F***ck? This kid is scheming. Let's get the sage remains back first. All the geniuses instinctively rushed towards the sage remains that were sent flying. No one expected this to happen. Who the F***ck would expect this? Everyone was here to snatch the sage treasures. This was like a group of people going to the cafeteria to get their food, and a weirdo suddenly jumped out and kicked the cafeteria's bowl away? If he wasn't F***king sick, then what was? Furthermore, no one expected that the Black Horse Club's Lin Chen would be so fast. Almost 99% of the people didn't realize that among the sage remains that were sent flying by Lin Chen, only the Atlas Battle Sage's remains were missing. But everyone's attention was on the large number of sage remains. The moment the blade aura fragments sent the 56 sage remains flying, everyone rushed towards the scattered sage remains. The main reason was that most of the geniuses suspected that this was a scheme. They suspected that Lin Chen still had a backup plan and wanted to take more sage treasures for himself, so they subconsciously rushed towards the sage remains. Now, you bunch of idiots, go and snatch it. Lin Chen's eyes lit up. Swish, swish, swish. Almost at the same time that all the sage remains were sent flying, all the clones rushed to the Atlas Battle Sage remains. There's indeed a problem. As expected of the man who massacred the genius list, you're really strange. I want to see what's so special about this sage remains. Almost instantly, a group of geniuses appeared and attacked from all directions. There was Zhao Tianquan, ranked 4188 on the genius list. There was an arrogant youth with black wings on his back, Southern Region Dark Fiend, Fei Anqing, ranked 1910 on the genius rankings. There was also a handsome young man standing on a flaming sword with a frivolous smile on his face. He was ranked 1999 on the genius ranking, Yan Wuxie, the Dark Flame Sword Emperor. There was also a cold-looking woman in a red robe. She carried a sword on her back and slashed out with a beam of sword light. She was ranked 6666 on the genius ranking. She was Jian Qingcheng. Looks like they're not all fools. Zhao Tianquan aside, the other three are a little troublesome. Among this group of people, Lin Chen clearly felt that the lower the ranking of the geniuses, the more ridiculous the pressure they gave him. These geniuses were different from other geniuses. Their attitude towards the Saint Trove was more casual, and they didn't attach much importance to it. They had entered the sacred Burial Mountain range for another purpose, but the Black Horse Club's actions had aroused their interest. Lin Chern had just used God's tears, so his meridians were throbbing and his battle chi was lacking. He had yet to recover. However, this was definitely not out of his expectations. He did not expect that he would be able to send everyone away with that move of his. Rune of Slowing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After consuming 400 points of rune energy, Lin Chen instantly used 4 runes of slowing. His clones took the opportunity to gather their attack. Flying daggers, spears, and swords all appeared at the same time. Consumed 480 talent points. All clones used the instant light shadow talent. Unexpectedly, the 4 of them seemed to be on guard. Lin Chen's rune of slowing only sealed their breathing for less than 1/5 of their time before the power of the odd crystals emerged from their bodies and broke through the restriction. The red-robed woman, Jian Qinqing, and Yan Wuxie were even more ridiculous. They broke through Lin Chen's rune of slowing faster than the others. Damn, so fierce! Lin Chen was shocked. This number of runes of slowing could even stop a sage who had opened a sacred point for a small pause, but these guys actually broke through in the blink of an eye. Zhao Tianquan broke through the restriction and activated the power of the odd crystals. His momentum was like a sandstorm that destroyed the sky. He pushed his hands horizontally and struck out 2 yellow sand dragons that collided with Zhen Dezhang's imperial sky, golden rainbow. Fei Anqing condensed a black moon in his hands and pushed it through the air, blasting through the moonlight slash of Mirror Moon Imperial God. Yan Wuxie held his sword and slashed horizontally, slashing apart the tyrannical flames burning the heavens sword. Of all the clones, Zhen Dexiu's most powerful attack, Lucky Feather. Jian Qinqing was even more ridiculous. He used his finger as a sword and easily shattered the Sword Fury Sky and Shadow Flying Dagger quadruple attack. Too strong. The latter 3 geniuses were even stronger than Zhao Tianquan. The clones obtained the basic elemental attribute increase from the light wheel odd crystals, but they could not stop the 3 of them. Little Shadow slammed into the air and blocked Zhao Tianquan. System, kill move. Lin Chen's mind was like lightning. With a flick of his finger, he consumed 900 rune energy and 3 slowing talismans fell from the sky, suppressing Fei Anqing, Jian Qinqing, and Yan Wuxie. These guys were too perverted. He had forced Lin Chen to use his killing move in the first exchange. Without using the power of the odd crystals, Lin Chen's clones could not stop Fei Anqing and the others at all. But the current situation was special. The clones could not lose their fighting strength in order to make a powerful attack. The geniuses were slightly surprised. Only Jian Qinqing remained indifferent. Her delicate body burst forth with a sword cry as she forcibly broke through the slowing talisman. Xiu xiu. Above the geniuses' heads, the purgatory wind was like a tornado that swallowed Yan Wuxie, Fei Anqing, and Jian Qinqing. Activated the blue rank intermediate killing move and locked onto the 3 enemy targets. The battle between the 2 sides only lasted for a breath of time. Lin Chen finally stopped the 4 of them. Even my solitary 1,000 flame steps can't avoid these attacks. Yan Wuxie shook his head and sighed. His expression became more dignified. With his sword in hand, he activated his fire type, power of the odd crystal, and danced out layers of flaming sword shadows to block all the purgatory wind. In this gap, the Dragon Emperor transformed into his human form and flapped his wings to obtain the storage ring of the Sky Prime Battle Sage. Lin Chen's heart was burning with excitement. I finally got the remnant of the Tai Heaven concealing technique. Be careful. Luo Yao reminded Lin Chen. A ghostly afterimage mixed with a purple-gold light pierced towards Lin Chen's heart. This ray of light was extremely strange. It had the smell of corroding thousands of battle auras, causing any defense to be greatly reduced. Lin Chen's Imperial Heaven Metal Chi was pierced by the purple gold light and was about to pierce through his heart. Host activated super-dimensional teleportation. Carrying target. 1. Consumed 36 talent points to teleport to the clone's location. Shua. The spatial light beam shone down and Lin Chen and Yen Wuxia disappeared. The ghost-masked man who was hiding in the afterimage frowned. He can actually use space travel? So close. Where did this old fox come from, damn it? Lin Chen's mouth twitched. 9 colored starlight condensed in his palm. His battle aura had just recovered by 70% and it began to decrease rapidly again. All the battle aura was transferred to the wheel light odd crystal. In the next moment, Lin Chen threw the 9 calamity star at the ghost-masked man. With his current elemental attribute values, using the 9 calamity star was enough to let people know what it meant to explode and soar into the sky. Consumed 310 advanced rune energy, 102 intermediate talent points. Activated charge, penetration, heavenly invisibility, slow rune. Increased power, 290%. Activated instant light split shadow talent. Activated complete passive talent, assault. Increased power, 70%. 1. The 9-colored star turned into the extreme star and fell down. Suddenly, it split into 5 and suddenly disappeared. This scene shocked the ghost-masked man to the point that his body trembled, and he wanted to use his movement technique to retreat. Chi. A gray talisman fell from the sky and froze the space around him. Not good. The ghost-masked man crushed the jade pendant in his palm and activated his defense with all his might. His body turned into a dark cloak to protect himself. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.